June 2nd. I'd like you all to please rise for the prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we come together this evening, we bow our heads in prayer and acknowledge your presence in our lives. We find you in our families and friends and those who have served their country so well and continue to do so. We see you all about us. As St. Paul cries out, all creation stands on tiptoe, awaiting the salvation of the sons of God. We thank you, Lord, for the generosity of so many, for the opportunities to serve. We ask your blessings on this gathering and the decisions we make today. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Here. Commissioner Lovett?
Here.
Commissioner Mallett?
Here.
Commissioner Simpson? Here. Commissioner Turner?
Here.
City Manager Webb? Here.
All right. Now moving on to communications, we've got 4A, which is a proclamation for Edward Terhune. Is Edward here?
There he is.
Oh, good. Now you get, we'll do it over here. Over here.
Yep, up front.
The long one. The long one. Yes, sir. All right. Whereas Edward Edison Terhune retired on April 27, 2016, after many years of commendable dedication to the city of Marine City as a business owner, first as a young boy of 12. Is that true? Until the present, and whereas the Terhune family has owned and operated Terhune Sales and Service, Inc. at 102 Bridge Street at the corner of Water Street for 77 years. And whereas Terhune Sales and Service, Inc. has provided the city of Marine City, Michigan and the surrounding communities with exceptional car sales and service for 77 years. Never bad one in the bunch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And whereas Edison Edward Terhune established the GMC dealership of Terhune Sales and Service, Inc. on April 24th, 1939, and whereas Andrew and Edward Edison Terhune continued the excellent car sales and service department after the retirement of their father, Addison Edward Terhune, in 1986. And whereas Edward Edison Terhune bought out his brother, Andrew, 1994, continuing as sole proprietor of Terhune Sales and Service, Inc. And whereas Edward Edison Terhune sold the GMC franchise on January 1st, 2006, and continued operations as an excellent used car sales and service department. Getting down there.
We're getting there.
And whereas Edward Edison Terhune has demonstrated commitment to the city of Marine City, Michigan during his years of service while providing coffee and donuts to his frequent and daily visitors and welcoming all with a smile, a joke from the jester, news from Our Lady on the River Parish Bulletin, news from around town, and a general desire to be helpful. And whereas Edward Edison Terhune continues to faithfully serve his parish, Our Lady on the River, Holy Cross Church, as usher, sacristan, Eucharistic minister, and any capacity as needed. Whereas April 27th, 2016 was the last day of service for Terhune Sales and Service, Inc., and Edward Edison Terhune retirement. Now, therefore, I, Raymond Skatarczyk, Mayor of the City of Marine City, Michigan, do hereby commend and express sincere appreciation to Edward Edison Terhune.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Holy cow, I need to drink water halfway through that. Finishing up with communications, we have 4B, pending city commission agenda items. 4C, master plan letter. 4D, certificate of membership MML. 4E, Michelle Dietland.
Yes.
That's it. You want to make a motion?
Oh, I'm making a motion to accept the communications and file. Support.
Motion is support. Is there any discussion on the communications?
Do we want to discuss never mind, that was for another agenda item, sorry. I was referring to the new,
Yeah, we're moving that.
yeah, to an agenda item, that's all I was making sure.
Yep. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Accept and file. We are now at the public comment portion of the meeting. You are welcome to come to the podium and address the commission. Please state your name and address and keep your comments to under 5 minutes.
Pleasant Street. I'm going to very briefly comment on the clown that has chosen to turn this podium into a three-ring circus or reality show in his act at the last council meeting. This clown, who shall remain nameless because he and his name are both irrelevant and inappropriate to mention in a public forum, is nothing but a washed-up, obsolete marketer, a salesman, and nobody is buying what he's selling. His rhetoric is nonsense and nobody is falling for it. The truth is that this clown could pick up his little boat model and leave tomorrow, and the majority who live here couldn't possibly care less. Now on to what is actually relevant. Rising tides lift all boats. This very famous aphorism, commonly attributed to John F. Kennedy in a 1963 speech, is an idea of economic policy in which improvements to the general economy will benefit all participants in that economy. That aphorism was used to describe our situation here in Marine City by one of its investors. However, I think these investors need to take off their rose-tinted glasses for a minute and look around, because they obviously aren't seeing what most of the people who live here are seeing. In the words of Gene Sperling, an excellent economic advisor during the prosperous era of Bill Clinton's presidency, I will quote, "The rising tide will lift some boats, but others will run aground," unquote. By the looks of our neighborhood blight and broken streets and sidewalks, Marine City's boat has run aground. It seems the mayor and most of our city council members have not been good stewards to the community or to this boat in the least. Much like the officials of the Titanic, our leaders are choosing to help those with the most resources while leaving the less fortunate to sink with the ship. It is for this reason that I agree that it is time for a new direction with leadership here in Marine City. I too am glad that some businesses on Water Street are prospering, but that prosperity cannot come at the expense of every other street in the city. The recent trend or new way of doing business of giving tax abatements and taxpayer-funded grants, this corporate welfare, has proven to not be as fruitful as originally believed. The MEDC, or Michigan's corporate welfare arm, through state audits and independent studies, has confirmed that in only 19% of cases did corporate welfare yield as many jobs and opportunities as projected. I would like to read a portion of the article in which that figure came from now. The backdrop for all this is the simple and unavoidable reality that government tinkering through economic development agencies just doesn't work. In terms of job creation, the returns are minuscule and out of proportion to the cost to the taxpayers. In terms of success rates, all this spending has produced many more losers than winners, even among companies that are offered the subsidies and tax breaks. Any private sector investor with a similar record would have gone bankrupt long ago. But that's of little concern to government officials and politicians. After all, it isn't their money that's being spent, and the source of future funding, aka the taxpayers, is seemingly limitless. I think we have the same problematic thinking by most of our leaders here in Marine City as well, that the taxpayers' means to pay increased taxes are limitless. Many people in Marine City are low income. Many of them that I know personally are on some sort of public assistance, such as food benefits, because they need them. There was a comment last meeting made by one of our investors in town. She said that if our mayor or city Council offers investors no assistance, then businesses won't want to invest here. I do encourage our council to help and assist the business owners that need assistance, but this particular investor doesn't need that assistance. They are millionaires. And just like it would be entirely inappropriate and fraudulent to ask for food benefit welfare as a millionaire, it is just as inappropriate and, in my opinion, fraudulent to ask a cash-strapped small town like Marine City for the same welfare, especially when that help comes from the hardworking blue-collar taxpayers that live here in Marine City. What these investors and most on the council have a problem with is prioritizing. What is a want and what is a need? The residents of Marine City need better roads over the want of Old City Hall being restored. The residents need sidewalks fixed throughout town over the want of a street boulevard. The residents need permanent city offices and a real Parks and Rec department over the want of a new hotel. This city must start addressing the needs of its residents before it can have the luxury of addressing the wants of its investors, because we are all in this together. We are all in the same ocean, but we are not in the same boat. The residents of Marine City's boat has many holes that need repairing first before that boat can be expected to rise with the same tide that the investor's boat is sailing on, or the people of Marine City will just continue to sink until they are forced to abandon ship, i.e. forced to move out of Marine City. So I leave this council and the investors with another question. How do you think these theaters and hotel will do if there is no people left, no tax base to support the infrastructure that these wonderful new businesses sit on? Thank you.
My name is Louise Butel. I live at 535 North Main Street, Marine City. As part of the beach fundraiser, I'm here tonight to provide an update. We hope you were able to come out on May 21st to enjoy the beach fundraiser. It was a great success and it was fun. We were able to raise $2,987, which will be put into the patronicity account. So we actually raised $5,974. Thank you again to all who participated, volunteered, sponsored a table, or donated a gift basket. Also, a big thank you to Mayor Skatarczyk, City Manager Elaine Levin, and Commissioners Lovett, Simpson, Avery, and Turner for coming to support this event. It takes everyone to make events such as this a success. The collaboration of the City Administration, Marine City Chamber of Commerce, businesses and volunteers ranging in age from teens to their 70s worked before, during, and after to assure a good outcome. Rick Ames of Ames Plumbing provided the toilets and the plumbing work. Way to go, Marine City. Thank you to all who helped with the cleanup of the beach, bathrooms, shed, and surrounding areas. The turnout was great. Also, a big thank you to the Bauer Funeral Home and the Merchant family for providing beverages and sweets for the volunteers. We're collecting buckets this week and should have a total tally tomorrow or Monday. To date, we have raised, with matching funds included, $32,000. Donations can still be made through www.patronicity.com Marine City Beach. We were able to open the beach this past weekend with volunteers, and they will be on staff this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 to 7. Thank you, Grace Halpin and Laura Scatia, for providing training and guidance for these young adults. They did a wonderful job, even with a few glitches. Please bear with them as the rules are learned and instilled upon the beach visitors. For more information or to keep up to date, please follow us on Facebook, Beach Fundraiser, or via our website, www.beachfundraiser.com. Thank you.
Bill Huss, 203 Pleasant Street. And here today, I like to get the rental properties to fix their sidewalks first and the trees. It seems makes most sense to me. I've already did some walking. I'm also wondering when the rental renewals, or are they like January 1st, whenever they take over, do you prorate them? Because I imagine the rental guy got to do his thing every year, pay the city every year. It's a business. Don't businesses pay every year? I'm just curious about that, because they should all be on the same date, January 1st, prorate them. Let me see, we basically need some heavy rules on the rentals, I've been pretty much annoyed with the rentals in my neighborhood. We've taken care of a lot of things, pretty much everything I hammered you on a few months ago. And then all of a sudden we get a dude popped up, he's living behind 227 Harold in a tent. Now I know 2 other residents that called, I believe one talked to you and you passed him on to the guy. I was giving him till after the holidays. He was already there for about 2 weeks. The holidays showed up. His bike was there this morning, tent still there when I come home from work. It was like I say, another rental property, We got, these people who are doing business in our town, they need to wake up and bring, they're bringing our town down. They're doing business, somebody's paying their note, they got a responsibility to give these people, if there's cement and it's broke, fix the damn cement. That's your duty as a home landlord. You don't want to do your duty, and guess what? You ain't getting a deal. $500 fine. You're burning rain out by the January 31st. And as far as our boardwalk deal, Port Huron has a tax for their waterfront maintenance. Marysville charges $5 at the train water deal. They're a nice big park. They got the antique car deal there. But residents get in free. People got to pay $5. Something to help out. I was, last week Gary had mentioned about he withheld $20,000. So I was wondering, if they could put an asterisk towards the beach, put boardwalk underneath it, because I don't know when the last time when he took a look behind the water treatment by the plant. Actually, we have a hole. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse. If anything, break it up, put the big gravel, put the fence over top, do like it used to be. Because that's pretty actually the water treatment building's falling apart. I had to back up and take a look at that. That one's real rough. Take a look at the corner. But, if we could put that on the waterfront, because Marine City, I don't see any surcharge to help out. Like I say, we get downtown, they're helping in the private sector, raising some money, and their different deals. That's fine and dandy, Make up something good online. You want money from the citizens? If we just said, hey, this is going for that, that's going for that, that's going for that. PA 33 went down for basically police department, we did it anyways. So we didn't much listen, but you found the money, Like I say, little bit of help. I pointed out when she talked about 2,200, you're hitting everybody, hitting antique stores, the food people, 25 cents a receipt, 15 cents a receipt, you got parking, ain't gonna kill the people. That's community. Now you can get some money from them and say, this is what they've contributed, now we wanna do a tax for this, and this. You guys gonna give it to us. More than likely you would've gave it to us. If it had been broke down last time, we'd have probably gave it to you. But, you just took it, and you just don't take it. I'm more than happy to do some volunteering for, we want to do some rental reform. I think you ain't seen too many people tell it like it is when I come up to town. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. I'm not doing nothing. You're getting what it is. That's what we see. That's what you get. And the last thing, down on the waterfront behind the Guy Center, we have the cleats that were put down for the gray fox or whatever. They're painted black. A lot of people, our main resource is the river for people to catch fish. They ain't got to pay $15 a pound in the store. You go down at night, you catch your fish. Them cleats should be painted white. We should find orange, white, yellow, something to paint them before somebody trips over the cleat. That's just, and if we get something with the boardwalks, that main ramp that takes you right down past the volleyball, man, if you was in a wheelchair, brother, you're going to be moving down that hill. But like I say, we need to hammer the renters. You want to call it rental action, blade action, I don't care what you want to call it. Like I say, you guys have been, you finally taking care of business. We're getting rid of losers. Like I say, losers on well off. People do what they want to do, whatever you want to call them. But like I say, you get something organized. You people want to walk the sidewalks because that's the main place to start. These people are making money. They're using people to pay their mortgage note. So that's a business. You got people like the Dumars, 7-8, you got a few others, if their property's garbage, hey, fix it up. We're renting in a substandard town, we want to make one part nice, we got to make the other part nice. I'm willing to be nice. I'm willing to give and take.
Anyone else like to come forward?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Turner, City Council members, and City Manager Levin. My name is Terrence Daw. I reside at 617 Carroll Street in Marine City. I have lived in Marine City all my life. I am currently running for the position of mayor for the city of Marine City. Whether it be apathy or deep concern, the old-time great feelings of this fine city are on the wane. I grew up in this town from childhood to adulthood. I have seen politicians and political promises come and go. I have witnessed this city go from being a small town to now having one of the highest tax rates in the county. Allow me to explain a little bit about myself. Pardon me. I am married to a wonderful woman, my wife Kay. I have raised my children in this town. I have been a resident of Marine City all my life. I was on the Marine City Police Reserves under Chief Roy Augusta. I worked for the St. Clair County Sheriff Boat Patrol when a boat was stationed here in Marine City. I was a volunteer on the Marine City Fire Department. I worked for the St. Clair County Sheriff Dive and Rescue Unit. I eventually became a master diver. My career when I wasn't volunteering my time included becoming and serving as a certified police officer, working as a dispatcher for the Michigan State Police, then on to full-time service with the New Haven Police Department, where I was the first-time police officer ever to receive an accommodation, and I received 4 such commendations. I then left the New Haven Police Department and joined the United States Department of Defense. Eventually, upon joining them, I became a part of a federal SWAT team. I was involved in the protection of 3 United States presidents. My position involved numerous other duties and responsibilities. I received 4 accommodations for my work, one of them coming from General Stump, who at that time was the Adjutant General for the state of Michigan. That involved assisting families and members of the military as the military members, were deployed to Iraq. At that time, I was only one of 6 people, pardon me, in the state of Michigan to ever receive such an honor as a civilian. I love this city. I believe in this city. I believe in the residents of this city. And I believe in the business people in this city. It is time for Marine City to go in a new direction. It is my desire to lead Marine City in a new direction into the future. If it wasn't for the business people in this town, we would not have the quality of life that this town enjoys now. I believe that we owe the business people a huge debt of gratitude, and we should take it to heart their concerns, suggestions, and ideas. The business people feel as though they lack your support. As Gary from Mariner has suggested, help or leave. You have a terrible parking problem in this town. I have ideas to eliminate the congestion There are other problems and concerns that need attention to, and I plan on addressing those as mayor of this city. It's time we took back the city, give it its due, repair its infrastructure and roads, and most of all, take care of and address the concerns of its citizens. If it wasn't for them, there would be no city. Thank you.
My name's Gary Coes, 430 Water Street, and I only have a few words. I'll waste about 30 seconds on Mr. Hilferlink, because it's a waste of my time. He doesn't pay taxes in this town. I pay taxes in this town. He's got a vendetta for me, and that's fine. But don't attack me personally. Take on the Mariner if you want, that's fine. But don't attack me personally. And that's what he's done. So let me explain. We reached out to Mr. Hilferlink in the beginning. You want to be part of the beach fundraiser, a private initiative that's done quite well? Then be part of it. Well, I want to start a crowdfunding. Well, go ahead and start it. But you can't use our name. And he got very upset at that. Why can't I use your name? Why can't I use your name? I said, because, you see, you're not part of this committee, and everybody on this committee is vetted. And Mr. Hilferlink, we vetted you. And your 3 pages of arrest records preclude you from using our name, because we have no assurance that we're going to see any money raised. Any money that you raise is going to come to this committee, and we're reliable. We're responsible for it. So I'm addressing Mr. Hilferlink's exclusion from that because he's made a point of it. I'm the clown he's referring to. He's cost the city $20,000 in matching funds. Bottom line is, I was hoping he'd show up with this apology tonight and that $20,000, but he hasn't. I would suggest to you that this gentleman is completely irrelevant, and I'll leave it at that. Next point is that the tree program is a private initiative, and it worked very well. It's been very successful. We've got trees, hopefully, tonight. We started the beach fundraising thing, private initiative. Incredible turnout. We've raised over $30,000. If we had the $20,000, we'd be over $50,000 tonight. But I'm not going to have the people I bring to town embarrassed by some individuals. And I want to thank Mr. Haas for the last commission meeting, because we had an agreement that we're friends. There's no problem. And I thank him for that. So we're moving on. And my feeling is the city doesn't have any money, so private initiatives should take over. The community should take over, and we want to get something done, let's just do it. We're working with the youth program right now. Mr. Hilferlink was also given an opportunity to be part of that and was asked to leave. So consequently, we're moving forward with that, and we expect to have a rec center for the kids in this region. We're working on a harbor and a transient docking program right now. And we also feel that Marine City can be the #1 community in the state of Michigan within 2 years. That's our goal, and we think it can happen. Your comments, Mr. Mayor, last meeting about saving money and whatnot, and the program for filming these commission meetings and whatever, came up, and you wanted to cut the $20,000, et cetera, et cetera. No, I think we need that media. I think we need that media coverage. But with the permission of this body, I'd like to come to the next commissioning meeting with a private initiative to speak to that and address that issue. I think we can do huge things and have it cost the city very little money, including televising the commission meetings and having them up and posted literally the night they're done. So the bottom line is, that's a minor part of the potential that has to be done in the city. And I think the media is what's going to drive it. And I think we have a private initiative program to, in fact, just do that. So with your permission, I would like to come back to the next commission meeting with a private initiative to address that issue. And I would also encourage that the current body that holds this contract for televising community activities and whatnot come back at the same time. So we understand we have apples to apples and we're comparing apples to apples. And let it fall where it falls. So that's my request of you tonight, and I'll be back next commission meeting with a concept if it's agreeable. That's it. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to come to the podium? Hearing no one, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to include the communication from Aaron Deutsch and place that as item 10J.
Support. There's motion support. Do we have any comments, questions on the agenda? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda's been approved. Moving on to item,
Got to approve the amended agenda now. Have to approve the amended agenda.
is that what we just did?
No, we just amended it.
Oh,
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
usually we approve it as amended.
That's what you made me do last time, so.
Okay. Do we-
You have to amend and approve, that's right.
So we have motion support?
Yes.
All right. Any discussion on the amended agenda? Commissioner Roberts?
Yes, at the last, from the minutes on page 5 of our last meeting, it was, a motion was made and approved that we table the discussion of the monies for the communications.
We haven't got to the minutes yet. We're going to
Oh,
vote,
I'm
we're going to
sorry.
vote on the agenda.
My apologies.
It's all right. All right, anything else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The agenda has been approved as amended. Now we're moving on to the approval of the minutes, item 7A, which is City Commission Budget Workshop Minutes from April 26th. We have the 7B, which is City Commission Budget Workshop Minutes from April 27th. And we have item 7C, which is City Commission Regular Minutes from May 19th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the budget workshop in April 27th, and the regular meeting, May 19th.
Support.
Motion support. Any discussion on any of these
Yep.
minutes? Commissioner Lovett.
Okay, in the minutes of the last meeting on page 5, the motion was made by myself, seconded by Commissioner Hendrick, to table the discussion regarding the communications through Channel 6 and also the amount in the Recreation Department. So I'm asking that we place that on the next agenda.
Okay. Is that it? Anything else? All in favor, say aye. Or this is on the minutes, not on, that. I don't believe that was an actual motion. Wouldn't have been the right place for it. Anyway, is that a motion?
It doesn't need to be a motion. I mean, it's already in the minutes that we were to do it, so we're just moving it on.
Well, we can just, I'll just add it as an agenda.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, moving on to item 8A, the consent agenda. Item 8A, which is TIFA minutes from April 19th, 2016. Item 8B, which is a business license for Captain Dave's Beach Cafe. Item 8C, which is a business license for Triple Star Trot and Trolley.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. It's placed on file.
With motion support, do we have any discussions? Commissioner Hendrick.
Just to welcome Captain Dave.
Commissioner Simpson.
Captain Dave to the Beach Cafe. I think it's a nice thing to have that back open near the beach, especially since it looks like the food truck's not going to be available this summer. So it's a nice addition. Thanks.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Okay.
You wanted to, you got something?
Yeah.
All right.
In the TIFA minutes, I see there was an update on 300 Broadway, and I'm wondering if all these projects and issues are going to be coming towards the commission for approval. I mean, I understand they got all this, and I saw the article in the paper, but it all has to still come before the board, correct?
I think that's just their desire for fundraising.
Okay.
Yeah, if there was an actual project, yeah, it would have to come to the board.
All right, I just want to make it. And then the other thing is on the business application, does he have all the health department stuff
Which one on Captain Dave's?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
that's it.
Trot and trolley. It's the horse thing, correct? I didn't see anything in there. I mean, do we have any ordinances in regards to this about cleanup and that kind of stuff?
My question.
Yeah. Do you know?
I don't think that we have anything specific. Jim Downey did review the packages and didn't mention anything in regards to that. I did talk to Chris when they initially brought in the application and had hopes that he would address that matter. I don't think he included
I
anything specific.
spoke with him and I had called and spoke with his father and he said that he is going to carry around something to scoop it up as they go. But as city manager pointed out, how are we gonna know when it's behind now, so.
Yeah, I think it's an important issue that if we're going to have this kind of thing, we need to address it. We probably have to create an ordinance if we don't have one. Commissioner Avery?
I'm sure the EPA will have some kind of emission control device to be able to install.
Yeah, well, that doesn't keep the road apples off the road.
Oh, they'll cover that.
Well, people will stop complaining about the dogs.
Yeah.
Actually, they actually make a device, a lot of the folks that do that, I know on Mackinac Island,
It's a catch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it helps eliminate that, but it sure could potentially become an issue for sure.
I just hope it doesn't become one, that's all.
Do they also have a slow-moving vehicle, just to make sure they have one in the
Like a
back?
safety triangle.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Yeah, that's just for their safety.
They have been operating in the city on a side note, not knowing that they didn't have a business license. We tracked them down, said, so we haven't had any complaints to date that there was on us there.
Right.
so.
No, I've seen their wagon going around. Glad that they're official now. Anybody else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda's been approved. Moving on to unfinished business. We got item 9A, which is the Maritime Days site plan. We have anybody here from Maritime Days by any chance?
It's their anniversary, so they couldn't
Yeah.
attend.
I actually met with them for 2 hours. They invited me out to meet with both the Blanchards, and another board member came, and eventually at some point they wanted someone to kind of have a broader look at the larger site plan that they had, and they kind of filled me in on a lot of details. I'd be happy to share what I found with them, but essentially everything that we have here is accurate. They did indicate to me that there was one new addition to that happened after they submitted this packet. They have a sponsor for fireworks. I'm sorry, after the fireworks, there's a
Movie.
the movie. It's an outdoor movie. They have a sponsor. It's going to be paid. They're purchasing the rights and doing it legally and that sort of thing. But that came out after they submitted their information here. But it appeared, at least to me, that all those details were covered.
And for their street, the vendors are putting in the street. I know there's been some requests by local business people that they kind of line those up back to back in the center. Have they taken that suggestion? Or?
Yeah, that's still in flux depending on the absolute needs for the vendor. They said a lot, like last year they had a lot of like an antique fire truck show that didn't show up, and that took up a lot of space and looked like there was a gap. But in general, they said the west side of the street is going to be left as a fire lane. Is still going to be blocked off and those types of things. But they said that was an indication from the fire authority that they wish to have that lane, and they were spacing things out more so they didn't block individual businesses and that kind of thing. So they said they were going to do the best they could. They said they are a little bit limited on like power resources and water. The individuals that need those, the vendors that need those, obviously need to be stationed, near those power sources. But it seemed to me like they took that to heart and really looked at that. They also indicated to me that they had quite a few problems with people not following the signage that was existing. And they said that was a component as well, is that DPW put up some signs and people were still driving, which also caused part of the problems as well.
Commissioner Love, did you have something?
I have some questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you can answer them, Mr. First of all, they've done a lot of work and, just lots of great creative ideas. I commend them, an exciting list. It can be a very positive event for the city, but I do have a few questions. First of all, this is a nonprofit group. We haven't seen any statements on expenses and profit. We asked that at last year when they presented and spoke to that, and again in December, asked again for some account of the monies and how they're spent, what's done with extra money, why are we asking TIFA for money when this should be an event that, uses money generated, did they get enough, did they not, et cetera. TIFA gave them $3,000 again this year. So again, there should be some accountability if you are a nonprofit group. I do believe you have to make those kind of statements. Secondly, the river run, how are you going to protect the runners? It's a great idea. I'm not cutting down any of this. It's just, want to be sure that that's covered. They're not only running down the aisleway that's left open on Water Street, but you're going to be going over the bridge and then coming down.
They addressed the bridge specifically, and they said that it is in the packet, and that they were going to review it with the racers, is that they are to be on the sidewalk at that portion. And that was a very major point that they were going to. They have someone new that's taking over the race this year, and they said that was something.
And going down South Bell River, the same thing, they're on sidewalks. They're
That's
not
what they
safe
indicated.
sidewalks to be running on.
But they talked about particularly the bridge crossing area, which was one of the bigger concerns, because they had a couple of the racers ask about that. So.
Okay, just to be sure that they are. And why are they closing down Broadway? There doesn't seem to be anything going on there. Why does that need to be closed? And they're not, understand they're not placing the vendors in front of restaurants or blocking any businesses, and that looks pretty true from the diagram. I hope that continues. Did they ask the Chamber of Commerce? My understanding, I talked to several businesses, and we had asked that they meet with the businesses and talk to them, and all of those I spoke to had not heard anything. What is a beer bong? My understanding, a beer bong is not something nice, so what is that? They're having a beer bong in here?
Are you talking beer pong?
Pong?
Yeah, which is different. It's actually a game, but that is modified. They've talked about SAF and SAF Insurance, which was their insurance provider. It is not what most people would think about when they think of that game. It is limited in the portions, and the portions are limited for the evening and per team and per round. So it's more of an activity. They had addressed that specifically with their insurance provider when they were running that event past them.
Just want to point out, they are showing vendors on Broadway.
I believe they do have.
Yes.
They indicated just in general terms about the road closures that some of the road closures aren't going to be an all-time, that they were only putting up the barricades with enough time to set up. Obviously with an event this scale, that is a lot of setup time. And there's only, they said despite trying, they still need lots of volunteers. So it's about 10 people doing the work for the entire festival. So obviously things are going to be blocked off longer if only a handful of people are doing that. So they said they addressed that the best that they could, but they said at some points, one of the good examples of that is last year they closed up, I think, a half day earlier. They said they sort of pushed that back, and it's not till afternoon of the next day. So they said they're trying to be more sensitive to that, but still being able to meet their obligations of being prepared. So I thought that was, a great point that they made when I met with them, is that they're really trying to be sensitive to what they're hearing and still being able to produce things that are coming their way to the best of their abilities.
Okay, three more. What steps will be taken to prevent public urination on buildings, which happens in the last 2 years? There's been quite a case of that. I hope that they're going to have some people around to see that doesn't happen.
I know they have volunteer security, and that's going to be 24/7.
Maybe just.
I know when they were reviewing, they indicated to me, and I had not confirmed this with the police chief, I had no reason not to believe them on this, but they had indicated that the position of the beer garden this year had some more natural barriers that they felt that would be better contain that area, and with the positioning of the stage, they felt with their discussions with the PD that was a better fit this year for that traffic in that area particularly. So I'm not sure if that addresses that completely, but it shows that some thought went into maybe adapting based on what they've heard.
And again, who pays the DPW and the police department for overtime? Can that not be included in festival expenses? Again, I would have to ask that question if we had an accounting of what comes in and what doesn't. And then lastly is just the date on the third page of the agenda has the closing on August 3rd, and it really just should be August 8th. That's a minor item. But I don't want to publish that. Thank you.
I think they had indicated to me, I don't know that this addresses your accounting, you'd have to ask them, but they indicated right now the total bill for city services was $4,678.80 was where they're at right now, which is actually up from last year, is what they were indicated to me. So just for folks that are aware. That included, the breakdown was 2,820 for police, 1,328 DPW, and 530 for fire. Primarily that was the fireworks.
And again, it's a wonderful thing that they're doing, it's a wonderful thing for the city, and I'm trying to cross some of the, dot the i's and cross the t's. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I had some of the same concerns, but you've pretty much addressed them. I did notice last year they shut down Broadway and there was like one vendor.
They were supposed to have something else.
Yeah, they
that
had
they
said
canceled.
people that didn't show up.
Then they should have opened up the street.
Well, I think that, I sat down with them for 2 hours. I actually chatted with them last year. I was out of town when it happened, so I wasn't able to come last year. But they had indicated they had a lot of people not show up. They had 2 large events not show up. One was a powerboat and truck. So if you can imagine what a powerboat is, plus the large truck used to tow that, they had a few of those. That's a large footprint. So that's going to look like they didn't use space that was there. They also had an antique fire truck group. They had an event 2 weeks prior. On the way back from that event,
Right.
2/3 of the truck broke down, so they had one truck from Algonac come, but they didn't
Right.
find out till the last minute. So that footprint was sort of already dedicated, and those were no call, no shows, if you will. And so I think it all goes back to there's only a handful of them really doing this. By the time they find out that no one showed up for that event, the event had transpired, and there's no way to address that. They're busy running other events while other people are running events that they've committed to. I think that's the biggest issue, is just not enough hands to go around. They've built a structure where people adopt events or bring their own events and run that, and if someone's not accountable for something they've committed to, it's hard for other people who are working other parts of the event to
Okay.
take care of loose ends. They did the best they could.
So from what I can see in here, it looks like Thursday at noon, they plan to close down Water
That was-
Street and
yeah.
Broadway, right? And start setting up. Hopefully, they're communicating with the businesses to make sure that they're not totally inconveniencing those people. And try to work with them.
I think that was the biggest thing with the schedule. I mean, now that's on the books, that's,
Okay.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yeah, if I could, I think I've touched it by attempting to answer on their behalf. I've got, I'm not with the group, but they had invited me to kind of share their plans and everything, based on my experience with the music festival and work, just, someone who's kind of walked a mile in their shoes, but they really showed a lot of detailed plans. They showed, gave me history of what's happened this year and what's happened in previous years that got them to where they are, and, they've worked really hard to be where they're at. That group started years ago with a deficit, so they've had to fundraise out of that deficit to get where things are today. And really, whether they articulate it well on paper or not, I can tell you from my conversations with them, which again were over 2 hours, they really have the details covered. They've pursued a lot of things, even though people might not say that. They indicated all kinds of conversations they've had with individuals, good and bad, that they're trying to learn from. And some of this stuff is ultimately you have to make a decision on something. You hear 2 sides of the story. You have to make a decision on what's best for the festival based on the resources that you have. And they said that they could do better if they had more people. Certainly, they said that would help out tremendously. But they've tried, and it's just hard to get people. Which I would echo. That's been my experience with music festival and other events as well. So, to me, it seems well researched, and it seems like they're absorbing and trying to do better each time around. And I contacted Elaine, and she indicated before I met with him that there was no outstanding items from the city, that we were looking for them, and they'd indicated to us that when I met with the Blanchards, they indicated to me that they're not waiting on anything from the city. So it seems like issues are resolved now, and there's a good game plan coming together. They have a nice written calendar and schedule of events, and of course that's always a bit of flux depending on how things. If someone shows up with twice as much as they had, or it turns out that you can't put this next to that, of course you're going to have to adapt and run on the fly, and maybe those are some of the things that people have some sore feelings on in previous years. But I think they're doing the best they can with what they have. An interesting story they gave me as perhaps an illustration of how you have to change on the fly. They had a vendor that came with an outdoor fryer instead of a truck, and I'm not sure they're making fries or whatever, but they had to move that closer to a curb, and then someone got angry with that. Well, their intention for that was to make it so people can't trip over that and land in a big fat fryer and those kinds of things. They said they got a lot of complaints from just moving that one thing, but it was their attempt to make it safer and make that situation. So if you account for 10 or 20 of those instances a day, I can certainly see why there's 2 sides of every story there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Blanchards do a great job, and the rest of their volunteers. And Yeah, something like that, you're gonna have some complaints and problems, but I've never seen two people work harder at anything, so. I really
As a
appreciate
reminder to
what you do.
everybody, they, just like with the Music Festival, Heritage Days, none of these groups, no one there makes money. And actually, I know from my experience and the Blanchard shared personal experience, usually these are the kinds of people writing checks to make these events fly. I know I turned down work to do the Music Festival, and I know they've taken vacation time to do other things. So, I think people need to keep in mind, they're not employees, they're not, these are people taking a lot of their time, perhaps hours and hours every week, to do something that they feel is positive and bring to the city. And I think people need to, when they're looking at these things, look through that lens, that, these aren't paid people, they're not professional people that put on these types of things for a living. They're doing the best they can with what they have. And I think if you look at it through that lens, it's a tremendous thing, it's a tremendous asset.
Plus, they spend a lot of their free time going to different areas everywhere trying to find new events. I mean, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, if you follow them on Facebook, you'll see what they're up to, and
Yeah.
it's quite amazing. Commissioner Avery?
I think it's a great sign of having people in the community who are not complaining, they are doing something. And this is very useful.
So does somebody want to make a motion to approve the site plan as presented?
I'd move to approve the Maritime Days site plan as presented.
Second that.
Motion and support. Any other discussion? I think we've talked about this pretty good. Anything? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Site plan's been approved. Moving on to item 9B, which is Maritime Days fireworks.
Make a motion to approve the permit for the fireworks for Maritime Days.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on the fireworks? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Firework? It's been approved. Moving on to item 9C, which is the Water Street trees. We got a very nice letter and report from Mr. Ekrich. Did you want to talk to us a little bit about that? Sure, come on up.
The report says about everything. That's true for that area. You only got 18 inches between the curb and the trunk. That's it. If you put anything with a canopy on there, you're gonna have 3/4 canopy and straight on one side with the curb going up.
From what I've seen, it's pretty much what every other community's using.
Yep. If we had about 3 more feet, we could put the trees back further. Yes, we could do those, but with that much space, we do not. We'd be in the middle of the sidewalk, trees in, and so that's the best option. I've talked to a lot of people, and
That's that.
that's that. That's it.
Commissioner Henry?
All right, I know I've provided a lot of information on this. No, the state of Michigan hasn't banned these trees yet. I got some questions.
Sure.
So we give a homeowner a choice for a tree in front of their house, but we don't give a business.
You're limited to the trees.
I understand that, but
Okay.
you don't give them a choice whether they want it or not. is
Oh,
what
I'll
I'm
give them a
saying.
choice. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Get a choice.
I was told that we either put them in or we don't. Is that true or not?
No.
Well, I mean, this is a city program and they're street trees. You're either, I think, going to do street trees or you're going to
not.
develop some other program where you're going to have some alternative.
So the question is, does the business owner get a choice? If he wants the tree, he gets the tree. If he doesn't want the tree, he doesn't have to take the tree.
No.
I'd say the answer to that's no.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. Okay, we have numerous other choices, so I looked it up, and in fact, I think this one here. There's a lot of other choices that have been identified, so I looked up some of the ones that some of the other states who have banned these trees have said. They said there's a Chinese pistache tree which grows 15 to 20. Red buds only go 15 foot. Silver bells, they'll go 25 foot. Flowering cherry and crabapple, small but sometimes messy. They're small. And then a serviceberry is 15 to 25 foot tall. So there are some other
Serviceberry is
trees.
a very messy tree also.
Okay, so I gave you a few others.
Okay. Then
Because here's the problem. Okay, I gave you all the information, and I understand, like I said, this state hasn't done it. But let me tell you, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, Maryland, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Ohio, and Arkansas, and on a watch list is Tennessee, New York, and South Carolina. Pennsylvania also included in banning. All these states.
Okay, they're banning those trees in forest parks, not in the urban setting where they're in concrete.
Okay, I talked to the MSU Extension, and they kind of disagree.
Okay.
The issue is, first off, does everybody know that these trees, the reason why Pennsylvania banned them is because of the smell? Now, they haven't cut them down, they left them, but they said what happens to the Clevelands, they smell like rotten fish.
After you
when
get
they
about
bloom.
8 to 10 years, yes, they do.
It's before that, because these people have had this for a long time. So here's one article. So the Pittsburgh Urban Forest Master, they prohibit them. Who will pay for any structural damage for the roots, for any foundations or sidewalks? Us or the business owner will have to take care of that, if there is any.
That's something we kind of talked about, I need to get Steve Saff, our insurance agent, and our attorney together to come on the same page, because I think they both see it differently.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that if the city plants a tree, the city should be responsible for the damage.
Yeah.
But
That doesn't work.
that's where we went on the sidewalk issue.
That's why you replace those trees every 8 to 10 years. They don't get big, the root system don't get big and heaves the sidewalks.
Well, it's not just the sidewalks, it's the underground.
They won't travel, they're a shallow tree. You know?
The Cleveland pears are known to damage the foundations because we're gonna be so close. The other problem is, they say if you plant those particular trees close, they'll tend to start leaning out as they grow larger because of the building, okay? I mean, I tried to do my research, you know, and I understand I'm gonna lose this battle, but I'm gonna make my statements on it anyway, okay? I still say we should be buying in the fall now. That's the
We
best
are.
cost and acclimation of the tree, not in the summer when the heat stress.
We are doing that.
Okay, you are. Let's see. Okay, so I guess I'll wait. I'm gonna qualify my vote when the time comes. But I've provided so much data, and I'll tell you, the state of Missouri has actually a nice video even. And the reason why they're telling you is they're trying to educate everybody. They know people are still using them and recommending them, but they're trying to educate people not to because of the damage that they do. And we've been through, I thought I had it in here. No, I've got it in my other stuff. We've already dealt with a lot of invasive species here, and I remember the St. John's Marsh when it was all cattails. Now it's Phragmites because that came in. We've dealt with zebra mussels. We've dealt with the gobies. We've recently dealt with the emerald ash borer, and if you've been up in the thumb, you can see the horrible damage that's done up there. I understand that people want this, but there's too much data out there from too many universities and everybody else that's saying, please, for God's sakes, don't put any more of these things in.
Have you talked to any Michigan urban foresters?
I've talked to MSU, who
Well,
said
have
it
you
should...
talked to anybody that works for the city of Ferndale, anybody that plants these trees?
They're not banned here, though, so they're going to still recommend them. And what I'm saying is all these other states have found out what the problems are.
Okay.
And because what happens is now, first we just had the Bradford pear. Now that you're putting the Cleveland, that's where the cross-pollination is going to affect them. We've got all these outlying areas where those seeds will go, and then this thorny thing will grow, and it will take over. And I just think it's irresponsible for us to do it when there's other choices.
Mr. Coase, did you have some information you'd like to share on this?
I sure
I know you've done some research too.
I sure do. I sure do. Before we started this private initiative, we did our homework. Ms. Hendrick, you're 100% right. You are 100% right. But you're only giving half the truth. You're only giving what serves your purposes. Let me explain.
It's not my
It's
purpose.
not applicable in the way these trees are being used on the boulevard. What you're saying is not applicable.
Sure.
These trees are being treated as flowers. Flowers bloom and they die. In 8 years, those trees will be
The
replaced.
damage will be done in between.
There is no damage done in an urban setting. There is no cross-pollination. There is no thorny thing. There is no development of fruit within the first 8 years. After 8 years, they're treated like a flower, they're removed, and a new tree is put in. You're only putting out half the information to serve your, no, that's not applicable.
My purpose, Mr.
I've read the same articles, but you haven't gone far enough. You haven't gone far enough. You surf the internet for the information that serves your purposes. It serves your purposes. You get everybody riled up. We've lost an entire year now of planting new trees.
You want to be irresponsible. I know they're going to vote for it, so you got it, Gary, so I don't know what you're worried
It's not a question that I got it.
You did?
It's not a question. There isn't an alternative tree that's as good.
There's a whole list of them in here. Here. Here's a whole list of trees that you can use.
And you'll find a negative for every one of them.
That's fine.
And the bottom line is the Cleveland
But at least
pear.
you're not
I'm just
invasive.
telling you, the Cleveland pear is the tree of choice for an urban setting with the conditions that we have in this town.
That's fine.
And you're only using the information that you glean to serve your purposes,
No, I'm not.
which is wrong. Which is wrong. You're being
You
negative.
have an invasive species, Gary. You don't.
It's not applicable in this setting, and you know that. You know that.
It is based on
No,
research.
no, you're playing a game with this commission and this city. And it's an irresponsible
I don't play
action
games.
on your part. It's irresponsible what you're doing.
keep it
That's, that's it. Thank you.
Hey,
Any questions?
I'm
Yes.
not finished yet.
Well,
Okay, I'm just going to do it now. Okay, I want this for the record, and I'll give you a copy of it. I find it totally irresponsible for this community to put in a tree that has been identified as an invasive species in so many states and banned. The trees are currently listed in the Midwest Invasive Species Information System. It's obvious that people here don't care about the damage that it can do to our environment and how the results can destroy local habitat. Haven't you learned from the Phragmites, the emerald ash borer, zebra mussels, gobies, the list goes on. It's very disgusting and disturbing for people who say that they love this area to be so reckless after being provided with information to make a proper decision. The cross-pollination of the Bradford pear and the Cleveland pear can lead to a viable seed that gets dispersed by birds. The offspring of those well-mannered ornamental pears are aggressive thugs. They spread rapidly, and the resulting plants are thorny invaders choking out native wildlife habitat wherever the seedlings take hold. The problem is severe enough that many localities and states have banned the trees altogether. I love trees. I planted 1 million trees. I grew up on a farm. You know, this is no personal agenda. I do my homework. And there's just too much out there from too many states where they're banning them. So I love the trees, but I will not vote for this choice when alternatives are provided but not investigated enough, and it's very sad, and I'll give you that statement.
I want to thank the DPW Superintendent, Mr. Ittrich, for the work that he has done, for the diagrams that he has given us. And I'd like to read the statement aloud to the community to know that he has done his research. It says, after talking to numerous individuals about what type of tree would be best for the downtown area, I would like to recommend the Cleveland pear. I have received communications for this tree from Larry Jennings and Brian Grass of J. Hart Urban Forestry, whom are International Society of Arboricultural Certified Arborists and have ISA tree risk assessment qualifications. Additionally, the Marine City Garden Club has expressed its support of the Cleveland pear. This would be the best tree for the limited space we have between the curb and tree, which is 18 inches. The Cleveland pear is also known to be salt tolerant, which will be beneficial due to the cells being open to the curb and in the sidewalk. Since there is no height restriction on the trees, we will no longer be trimming the trees on the top. Occasionally, they may be trimmed along the roadway, but trimming will mainly not be necessary. And lastly, with all trees, saying specifically this one would be replaced every 8 to 10 years, or they may become susceptible to ice and wind damage. And that's true of anything that was planted here. So therefore, I make a motion that we approve the program as presented by DPW Superintendent Mike Ittrich.
Support.
so we have motion and support. Any other discussion? Commissioner Simpson?
Yeah, I just want to say why I'm in support of it. I mean, clearly there's two sides to every story. You know, the fact that you've spoken with people that have, you know, tree risk assessment qualifications. We've talked to people, you know, in state. You know, I've talked to a lot of people from Michigan Main Street programs that have put a lot of these in across the state, particularly the west side of the state. They recommend it to this day. Some of them were even putting some in this summer, particularly Hart, Michigan in general. Others have said, I think it was the mayor that said a few meetings back that, you know, there are just so many options out there, and you wouldn't want to be the one who has to, you know, be the final person. But ultimately, I think a decision needs to be made, and I think there was some responsible decision-making and a lot of time spent on this, and I'm in favor of it. Certainly can go either way, but I think it also comes down to proper management of the situation. It isn't just planting a tree, it's maintaining that, and I think often that's where, you know, plans go awry, is that, you know, we make a decision, but then the follow-through years after never happens, and so I would encourage us to, you know, have the proper follow-through on that, and that's why I feel that that's the right decision with the proper follow-through.
Yeah, been really paying attention to what other communities are planting, and it's pretty much the tree of choice just about anywhere I go in the state. So I don't believe that our 27 trees are going to be Armageddon in the tree world. If you go down Greenfield through Oak Park as you go into Detroit, there's hundreds of these trees that were just planted on the boulevards. Lexington recently just replanted some type of a pear tree on in their commercial district. I took pictures. I haven't had time to share them, but I'll send some pictures out. That's kind of they've got some ones that were just planted, and they got some ones that are probably 15, 20 feet tall that have been very nicely trimmed so you can see through them, and they're not, you know, not being topped. I think that's the other thing we need to look at, is that ordinance about, you know, the tree height, because I think that's...
One doesn't exist. We didn't have it in our packet, and I contacted Lane directly. There's
no ordinance saying we got to cut these trees like lollipops every year?
No, just what type of tree, that's all.
So why have we been doing it every year?
He was told there was.
14-foot ordinance for the last 20 years.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, but it shows you misinformation, what that can do.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Commissioner Levin.
I would just like to add also that Mike Kittredge, along with his assistant Elizabeth McDonald, put together a very concise plan for modifying some of the locations and spacing of the existing trees and the new trees, taking into consideration some of the second floor apartments and the spacing of the parking spots so that we don't have issues with between parking spots, and they put a lot of time and effort into that.
A lot of nice work there.
What's that?
Your job with the maps and the tree placement, that was really good.
And it is on the website, the packet, if anyone wants to take a look at those locations.
Commissioner Melly?
Yeah, the only question I have is, you know, Gary, the idea about making it a flower tree, in the sense of cutting it down, are you going to cut them all down at once, every 8 to 10 years?
In 8 years, you're replacing it, $56 a tree or something,
What?
it's nothing more than a flower.
But would I like to make a suggestion, if you cut down like 4 trees every 4 years, and that way it looks like a boulevard instead of chopping it all down all at once. I don't know if you buy the tree at different stages, or are you going to purchase the trees like 2 inch?
Inch and a half, yes.
Inch and a half, 2 inch. You couldn't buy a tree that's 3 inch, you know what I'm saying, a more older tree, and planting that and making a progress so you can chop it down every 4 years.
It's a fast-growing tree.
Yeah. You put a 3-inch tree in there, and you probably replace that within 2 years. You got the bigger tree in there, it's going to grow the roots faster. The tree's going to grow faster.
There might be some natural attrition, you know, trees dying off, and ones that maybe don't take, that will kind of help balance it. We already have some other trees that are still in downtown that those are going to be coming out at different times, so we might have a little bit of natural selection like that.
Okay, and then the other question is, do you have a program set aside then every 8 to 10 years of replacement of the trees?
Yes.
Do we have a
set up?
It's already set up now. Is that through TIFA or is that through the general fund or how's that set up?
Got 8 years to worry about.
Okay, so we don't have a program yet. Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to
Mayor Pro
comment.
Tem Turner?
I'm going to stick with my original gun. When the trees went down, I thought it looked great. And the trees, in my opinion, have been nothing but trouble. I realize, Mike, you put a lot of hard work into this. I appreciate your work. I appreciate the research that everybody's done, but I still feel I'd leave them out. I know you got the voice of the town where they've said they want them back, and that's fine. But I'll be the opposing one, and I'll say, no, I think it looks better without them, and we won't have the trouble. That's where we started, and we swung back around to putting different types. And we'll argue till the sun goes down that we're putting the wrong kind of tree in there. So just leave them out. That's my opinion. But I'll get outvoted too, so that's fine.
There's plenty of research and information out there that points to the economic value of trees and what it does to the environment and how it creates a nice place.
27 small trees?
27 small trees.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We're not spending any money, so I'm just going to say, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Aren't we spending the money?
TIF is spending the money.
Well, I'm a nay.
So we get 3 nays. You want 3 nays. Did you get that?
I got Commissioner Turner, Commissioner Hendrick.
Melly.
Okay, thank you.
So motion passes. Moving on to item 9D, which is the sidewalk inspection program.
We had the subcommittee of Diane and Terry review the materials that had been in the previous packet and made some minor adjustments to it. I do apologize for not doing red lines. I'm kicking myself now. I wish I would have done red lines on the changes. There isn't really anything significant that we changed. Maybe Terry or Diane can address some of that. If you decide to move forward with this program, the next step would be to hold a first reading for the ordinance, and then following that would be a second reading for the adoption.
You want to discuss it?
Well, yes. We did make minor adjustments to the program. We set out a calendar for adoption of the program and can still possibly make it this year since it's just inspection. However, all we have is a program. We don't have any funding to actually do this. This does not talk about the TIFA funding to actually pay for concrete until the tax comes in for that. Somebody has to administer this program. So we don't have a way to do that. But the program is here, should it be funded.
Yeah, I thought they already did.
I thought it was
Yeah.
$40,000.
44, yeah, like 44,000, 40.
I
40.
Yeah.
mentioned this several times and did not hear that.
No, several times we've actually told you that TIF has approved funding for this.
I think it was in the last, one of the minutes,
Yeah.
recent minutes, it was just in, or the budget.
And to clarify, they're not paying for the sidewalks, they're basically loaning us the money to allow for the time delay in the tax revenue.
Yeah, that's...
I did receive a question from someone wondering if there would be some way to make available to residents with financial hardships to be able to give them some type of break or incentive. That was not part of this program when it was designed. I don't necessarily know where the money would come from for something like that, though I do understand that there are people in the community that this would place a financial burden on them.
Commissioner Simpson?
I understand that, but I think that might be something that if we find the funding later that we can put in place, perhaps that's a suggestion. That, I certainly understand that any program like this has that component to it. At some point, $1 is too much for somebody but I think that this is such a problem, it has such gravity on our insurance and other such issues with us that I think that it's a difficult thing to administer, but I think this is probably the best that we're probably going to potentially be able to come up with, provided, someone doesn't win the Mega Millions jackpot and pay for it all. But I appreciate the fact, for me, what I liked about the plan is it addresses the zone approach, so we're not hitting everyone at once, and it finally puts in a rotation. I also like how it has two forms of appeal process for a resident. So, there's some form of potential relief there. If someone feels like the program is not doing them justice, not just one appeal process, there's two built in there, and I think that's a great thing of any program, is that there's some sort of due diligence to a resident or a property owner, and I think that's a good thing. I still have some outstanding concerns, as I've said, at any time this is brought up, is who's responsible for the trees damaging property. You had indicated that, the lawyers need to chat. I don't know that we can ever solve that, so I would still be a fan of moving forward without that component, and just, because I don't think that there's ever a permanent answer for that, and, if and when the city was perhaps found to be responsible for them, we don't have money to do that. So I think that this is probably our best shake at solving this problem, at least in some way, shape, or form that we're going to have in the next coming, 10 years maybe.
Commissioner Levitt.
Just wanted to explain the process a little bit. It is done by zones. There are 4 different zones. The DPW superintendent gets another job, and that is he would highlight with spray paint an area that needs to be replaced. You don't have to go, not necessarily going through replacing all of the sidewalk, replacing the areas that need to be replaced. And doing it as a group like that, you get a better deal on the concrete. However, a homeowner can choose to replace their own sidewalk, but they have to meet the specifications that are in the program itself.
I think I heard someone mention that there might be the possibility of getting volunteer inspectors.
Okay.
I think I heard that today at the podium.
As long as we have around the rental properties, I'm good to go.
So the program, I read through it, it sounds like a fair program. I think it's laid out pretty good. It's 30-some years overdue from what I can see of the sidewalk conditions, and it's just something that I don't think most people are going to be happy about, but I mean, come on, we need to get this taken care of. It's going to improve your property values, it's going to lower the city's liability, it's going to make the city more attractive and safer, and anybody that owns a home is always going to run into certain costs that maybe they're not happy with, but they got to deal with it if they're going to be a homeowner. So I don't know about the hardship thing. I mean, if you own a home, you just have to be able to take care of it. Commissioner Hendrick?
All right, so it used to be people went to the DPW, and then on here it says that we're going to the building department. So which is it going to be now?
It's going to be issued through the building department. DPW is going to be doing the inspection.
Okay, but they have to go to the building department if they want a permit.
Yeah.
So in the past, we used to do the 1/3 material. That's no longer viable?
No. I don't think they ever found where that was ever written anywhere. That's another one of those unwritten things that was going on.
That went on, well, because we had a sidewalk program. That was part of the sidewalk program.
That was part of the program at the time, yes, but there's never nothing written any place that you guys authorized that.
Well, some other board way long time ago must have authorized it because it was,
It may have been the case because they had been on previous applications. Right now, funding just isn't there to be able to support that.
Okay, so I'm just asking the stuff
This
here.
would be a completely different program to replace that.
Okay, it says that, and people need to know they're only going after the most hazardous first. We're going to do this in phases, correct? The most hazardous first, that's the first round for all the zones, and then the next time around, we'll go after them next.
Yeah, we'll focus on the ones that have like greater than 2-inch separation or they're completely crumbled, and then start going after some of the other ones that aren't as bad in future years.
Ones that have blood splattered on them.
Or little rats painted on.
Yeah.
It says that we're going to put a brochure taped to somebody's front door. Is that really good?
The
Or is it?
brochure that's created here, that's something typically you see, like when DTE comes out and does tree trimming, they leave notices.
I got mine in the mail, though. You might, because I know some people lock their doors where the wind could blow it off, and if this, you know what I'm saying? You might be better off, if you're gonna send the notice to them anyway, to send the whole thing.
I think taking it to the door is just something, adding an additional amount of notice. We'll have all of the notice, it's all gonna be on the website, we're gonna have flyers in the office. All the information will be available for people.
Okay, so if property owner does not contact city for payment or scheduling for the permit purchase, it says there's a processing fee of $35 and interest calculation using 6% starting with the completion date. 60 days will be added to the total replacement cost and placed on a property tax bill. This is the one I guess I'm concerned about, if people are having a hardship and then we're gonna hit them with a 6% running fee, that could add up to quite a bit. And then they're also, if they want to appeal, that's another $25 fee. So I'm a little concerned with that. And then it says here about the ADA and the corners. Is the city still responsible for the corners?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's not really clear in here. It basically says, you know, handicap ramp updates, and that will be, you know, that sounds like the person's responsible for that. I don't know if that could be clarified.
Which part of that you're looking at?
Section 9 on page 3.
This is six pages.
I think we can put some additional language in there.
I just want to make sure that that's clarified, that those corner areas are not the homeowner's responsibility. And then I noticed in this timeline, we have Tetra Tech in there. Should that be in there, or can we leave that generic so that you can use anybody you want?
It is fair to point out that this is not something unique to Marine City. It is something that we are finally addressing, and so now it comes up as being an issue, but it's something we have to do. And to play devil's advocate, though, fairness will make people replace bad sections, but there are many places there are no sidewalks. Those people don't have to do anything. It is interesting. You walk along and there'll be several houses with no sidewalks.
And I think that that's something that we could address at later phases of this project.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in an area that has sidewalks, you should have a sidewalk to make it contiguous.
Well, I know I asked about that when we first started that, because there's some where it's on one side of the street, not on the other side of the street, and everybody said, well, we're not going to get into that at this point. So.
And
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I know my part of town, the dead-end street, we have none, but that development came along in the 70s and just wasn't part of that development. The city didn't require it. You know, but, you know,
Or
on my
enforce
particular...
it, or
Yeah.
enforce it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but, you know, in my case, it would go to my neighbor's middle of his yard and cause me to remove an entire tree, you know, so it's an imperfect situation. I know what you're saying about like certain portions that you would go, it's missing 2 slabs and there's another one. Obviously, at some point that was there, but, you know, I know like North William Street, you know, there's a couple blocks that just never had them, period.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Other areas.
And that included when there's a school down the road, now that, you know, that's not a school anymore.
Well, even West Boulevard, part of it has it, part of it doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
But again, I think that, to me, that's part of the,
Well, I think
it's an imperfect system, but at least it's a fair shake at,
We got to address
the
what
goal
we
here
got.
is to get rid of dangerous
yeah.
The ones we get.
sidewalks.
That is important.
You know.
And the current ones.
Right. Not necessarily to make everybody put
Yeah.
sidewalks in. We're trying to get rid of hazards.
And as the program progresses, we can always modify it and, you know, we're taking care of the bigger hazards and refining, and then over the years, maybe, you know, that comes along down the road in 5-10 years.
So far, all I've heard is some very minor suggestions to change some language. Did you get all those written down?
I have.
Elimination of Tetra Tech and the clarifying of the ADA.
The only issue we have is the tree thing, I still think. Like I said,
And,
we had asked that the insurance guy and the lawyer get together and fight that one out.
I'll take care of that.
And other than that,
Somebody like to make a motion to approve this with minor changes to the language?
This is just the first reading.
it's
Yeah,
not
to
even a
approve
first
that
reading.
we moved to the, no, is not the first reading.
No,
No.
it's not existing yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just
Just
reading
we're
what it
gonna
said
move
at the bottom here. It
If
says,
we're going to move forward with this document, then the next time it comes to a meeting, it'll be the first reading.
okay.
I move forward with the sidewalk inspection program with the elimination of Tetra Tech and the clarification on the ADA ramp components, otherwise as presented to us.
We're going to keep the fees in.
Okay. Do we have support for that?
I just did.
Good. Motion and support. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're one step closer to a sidewalk program. Amazing. Moving on to item 9E. Mr. Idris doesn't want to be paying for permits.
What?
I make a motion to approve to waive the permit fee for the DPW roof and library AC unit.
Second to motion.
The motion and support. Any question about waiving the fees for the new roof and the air conditioning work? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It comes out of one pocket and goes in the other.
All right. Now we're just getting started a new business in this grant. Item 10A, library gazebo. Hello.
I'm Lois Kaufman, and I'm the branch lead of the Marine City Library. And I'm here this evening to ask for your permission to allow me to have a pavilion built on the grounds of the library. You've got all the paperwork. It shows you a Google map of where we'd like to place it. It is in the southwest corner, right off of the parking lot. You have all the specs. It's a kit that will be delivered. There are detailed specs included in this kit. It will be placed on a 12 by 14 pad of cement, and there will be a 4 foot by 8 foot sidewalk, cement sidewalk leading up to it. King Thompson and their supplier have graciously offered to donate all the concrete and the labor, and the labor for building the pavilion will be donated as well. The pavilion itself will be paid for by memorial money given to the library for Bob Foster, and the Foster family wants to make up the difference. So the pavilion, if you agree, will be called the Bob Foster Memorial Pavilion. I think most of you probably knew Bob, and he was a wonderful man, and he loved his library, and we loved him. The Friends of the Library have more than sufficient funds to cover any unexpected costs that might crop up, and so I'm not asking you for any money whatsoever, just your permission to build it. 6 years ago, I came before the commission and the TIFA to ask for an addition to the library. In 2010, that addition was completed, and because of it, the Marine City Library is known throughout the county as the jewel of the library system. We can all be very proud of that. This outside addition, this outside pavilion would be in another addition to the library. It would be used for programs for the library. It will be used, we have 24/7 Wi-Fi, so even when the library is closed, the physical building is closed, you'd be able to give you a place to sit and enjoy your library. You wouldn't have to sit in your car anymore. I come in the library in the morning, I see people sitting in their car using the Wi-Fi. We're close to the bike path. It will encourage people to stop in. We have a great sign on the bike path now that points to the library, tells people that we're there. And so it'll encourage people to use their library more, or at least use the picnic area. I am very proud of our library and all you and I, have accomplished together to make the Marine City Library the amazing place that it is. On July 30th, after 31 years of heading the Marine City Library, I'm going to be retiring. Before I retire, I would like to know that this pavilion will be built in memory of Bob Foster. I want our library, I want it for the library, I want it for the citizens of Marine City, and I want it for everyone who visits this wonderful town. Thank you.
Anybody would like to make a motion? Commissioner Avery?
I would like to make a motion to approve the building of, or approve letting the library gazebo be built, since we aren't doing it.
Support. A motion support. Any discussion?
It's a beautiful addition and memorial, and certainly adds to a wonderful library. My only question is, why did this not go to the Planning Commission first? I mean, that is our ordinance, that's what we do, is send this to the Planning Commission.
I don't know my history of being on the planning commission that I ever looked at gazebos or anything like that. That has never been something that's been passed us. Not saying that I've got everything memorized. There's huge planning things, but we've never.
You're looking at a gazebo for the beach, and that's had to go to the
pavilion's
Planning
a lot
Commission.
larger of a project. That's a.
Yeah, it's got the latrines and so,
Yeah.
But at least they had all the specs. Which
Yeah.
we didn't have on the other one.
Right.
Just a question, I mean, that's what the planning.
I think it's totally appropriate. It's just like a little
I think
garden
it speaks
type
to the scope of the
structure.
project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we could add into the motion that we're going to waive the planning commission in this case.
I don't
Just make
think
it
it's
official.
even necessary.
Not
Yeah, I don't know that that's.
Well, I think one thing that maybe makes this a little bit different than the proposed pavilion structure is that this isn't quite like as permanent. I mean, this is a structure that's on a concrete pad, whereas the pavilion and restrooms over at the, by the beach are gonna require having water and sewer, and it's more substantial. I know in the past, you have asked kind of to have things come here first. We could certainly bring it to the planning commission for review.
Well, the scope of this project, I think we can approve it.
Do we have any opinion from our DPW superintendent?
Yeah, we gotta get something straight. Building on city property, we need your permission first.
Right.
Before they go to the planning commission.
Oh, I thought it was the opposite.
So, I mean, because if you guys are giving us okay, and you spend the money at the
Yeah,
planning commission.
right.
You guys say no.
It's correct.
The only reason I dragged you into this is because the Little League came to us a few meetings ago, and we sent them to the planning commission first, so that's why I'm asking.
But we
And that was
approved it.
based on concerns you had. so.
Right, and after you gave the permission, they went to the planning commission.
Okay,
And they got what they have to do, and I think they're still doing it.
all right. Well, I don't think anybody sitting up here is going to oppose this. I think it's just, do we need to go to the planning commission or not?
Right. We're just saying that, we need to come to you first, and it's on city property.
Okay.
Before we send them to the planning commission.
Makes sense to me.
There's no sewer water going to the site. There is electric that'll be routed around the building. They'll have Wi-Fi for people to be able to access from their computers. It is something that if for some reason something happens, it's not necessarily a permanent structure.
I agree. Commissioner Simpson?
I think it's a great project. It's wonderful to hear how many people, Team Thompson and others jump in to be a part of the project and the help with the labor and all of that, and even the Friends of the Marine City Library to be responsible for any unforeseen matters that might pop up. It's a very thorough proposal, and it's just great to see, the community support behind that. I think would be a great addition for us.
That's right. What he said. Anybody else?
I think it's a great idea, too.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yep. Moving on to item 10B, which is emergency water agreement with East China Township. This is pretty much a formality.
Yeah, it's something that has been done in the past. It's just an agreement, formal agreement between us and the Township of East China, that should something happen to one of our water systems, we have, in essence, a mutual aid connection.
And we do have a physical connection.
I believe it's 2 or 3.
Two. Right. And it also waives liability for any damages if the water doesn't flow fast enough, so.
You also utilize this when you're doing like flushing or something, right? There's a couple times that you've used
We've
this.
used it in the past when we
Last year.
drained our tower, washed the tower, and
Right, okay.
went on East China system.
Commissioner Levitt?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the emergency water agreement with East China Township.
Support. Motion and support. Any other discussion on this simple document? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Item 10C, the City Commission Mayoral, that's a tough one, debate.
City Commission and.
I'm just reading the way it is here.
Oh, you didn't bring your stuff with you tonight.
Here it goes again. Marine City is a great small town. I think it can be the #1 small community in Michigan within 2 years with some changes and moving forward. I really do think that's possible. But having said that, there seems to be a great deal of misinformation that flies around and ultimately ends up in chaos. The tree program is an example of that. And it seems like this vocal minority is driving the bus. And I think that's wrong. We got a great commission here, and commission makes decisions because they were elected. And therefore, the vocal minority should vote if they want to change. But if you make a decision in this body, then it should be followed through on. If we look at the concept of democracy, it truly is the greatest form of government, yet the average democracy lasts on an average of 200 years, and representative democracy a little longer. Then it falls in on itself, and the minority element takes over, and the system becomes a dictatorship or worse. The reason for all this is the majority of voters within these democracies fail to vote, and the minority assumes power, and democracy is destroyed from within. So if I've taken a close look at the Marine City and found that there are 3,315 registered voters in Marine City. In the March 8th P833 election, 1,116 registered voters voted. That's 33.6% of the registered voters. Then I looked at the May 3rd election and found that 751 voters turned out. That's a pathetic 22.6%. I say pathetic because in a democracy such as we have, not voting is not an option. It's an obligation that you have to your community. There can be no debate on this. It is an obligation. So I asked myself, what can we do to change this? And here's the concept being presented at the commission tonight for your endorsement. On September 22nd, the Mariner Theater would like to sponsor a debate between all the candidates running for office in the Marine City in the general election November 8th. The debate would be hosted and moderated by Claire Sarcy from EBW-TV, Jerry Packer from The Voice, and Robert Gross from the Times-Herald newspaper. EBW-TV is looking into broadcasting the debate live, and of course, taping it for replay. The debate would be held at the Washington Life Center. All of the above have agreed to participate. Additionally, the Mariner would sponsor a Get Out to Vote campaign with the objective of registering as many new voters as possible and reminding existing voters of their responsibility to vote on election day. Our objective is to have the highest percentage voter turnout in the state of Michigan this year, perhaps the nation. Our goal is nothing less than 75%. We reached out to the city clerk, Miss Kristen Baxter, and she's got to be the greatest city clerk there is, because we've got her full cooperation. She's actually taken her own time to show up at the beach fundraiser. Most of you commissioners were there and saw her registering voters there. She's also been to the school, the Riverview High School, registering not only the kids that are eligible, but also their parents. And what's even greater than that is she was actually registering voters for other communities and passing their paperwork on to their clerks. Now, that's democracy in action, and here's someone who's taken upon herself to not only be responsible in the job she has, but the fact is she's gone way beyond that, and that's fantastic. That's what we're looking for. Bottom line to all this is, we've been asked, the Mariner has been asked to mentor 2 teachers and 10 kids in a program being sponsored by the St. Clair Community College. And it escapes my name right now, Challenge for the Future. They're going to be meeting with us, and they've asked us to put together a program. Technically, it should be around our business, but we don't need any help with our business. So consequently, we've proposed that they jump into this program, design the signs, the Get Out to Vote signs, create a program to strategically place these signs within the 2 precincts so that every possible voter is reached in a multiple of ways, assign block captains for each block, with the objective of 100% voter turnout in that block. And if we do that, I think it's more than possible that we will reach the 75% or greater number. But the important thing is here, I think people should know who they're voting for. And therefore, this debate, which is nothing more than the candidates expressing their positions on a variety of topics relevant to this community, and having the people that are voting hear what their positions are on these relevant elements. We've passed this information not only to all of you on the commission tonight, but we've also taken the opportunity to send it out to all the candidates. And we have at least 7 candidates here tonight. And with the permission of this body, if it's possible, they're here and they can certainly speak for themselves, but I would like to hope that all those running for office in November will participate in this program and give their voters a look at how they stand and where they stand on different issues, with the objective of having a cohesive body elected that will make this place rock and really make it the #1 city within 2 years. And I think that's a big part of making it #1. That's all I have. Any questions?
Great idea. I mean, we did this, I think, 2010. Yeah, and it was very successful. So I appreciate you putting this together.
So you're in?
I'm in.
Got a question for you. For the record, I'm in. I'm
Good.
happy to partake in it. I partook in the last one. A question just in general, maybe not this far along in the process, but how are you going to deal with the questions? One of the problems we had last time is you have a big panel set up on stage, and there's 8, 9, 10 of us up there, and by the time you get to the end, they're reiterating half the stuff that they heard at the beginning, and people in the audience are a bit disengaged at that. It's a lengthy process. Do you have thoughts about how to, make it poignant and give people an opportunity to answer, of course, the relevant questions you discussed, but in a meaningful way that's engaging of the audience as well?
Yeah, it's a format that has to be worked out, and certainly we have a lot of examples how not to do it right now. So, no, I think the questions have to be formulated by the moderators, #1, but those questions come also from the public. What's of concern to the public as it relates to this community? And then you give people the appropriate amount of time to answer it. And I think really the questions have to be phrased in a way that can be answered concisely, not just a yes or a no, but something that can be answered in an expedient amount of time so it doesn't get boring. And then you're not always going to the same candidate each time. And you don't necessarily have to go to every candidate and every question the same time. So that's a format that will be worked out, and obviously it's going to be for the approval of all those participating. Certainly, they're not going to get blindsided or anything.
I appreciate the thought of allowing people to develop those questions.
Oh, people, it has to come from the electorate, absolutely, without a doubt. Sure. I think it's a great concept. I think if we were to hit the 75% rate, I mean, that'd be outrageous, wouldn't it? Especially in our democracy today where no one votes, it seems. So if we hit the 75%, I think we can be #1 in the state, which would be fun. But more importantly, that puts Marine City again back on the map in a very positive way. So, and the kids.
I think it's fantastic. I fully support you.
And the kids being involved.
But I'm not a candidate, so.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to have to answer the questions.
But the kids being involved, what's fun about that is they're going to go home to their parents. Are you registered to vote? Did you vote? Are you going to vote? And the kids are going to drive this, which we found it's like the beach fundraiser. It's like this rec teen center thing. It's fabulous. The Maritime Christmas, the kids ran that. Look how successful it was. So get the kids involved because that's the future of the community. So, and we've got, I think, 7 candidates here tonight. So it'd be great to have a show of hands of who wants to participate. Of course, given additional information, but who supports the concept.
3 back there.
There's 3, 4, 5.
Already says it.
Well, one thing I have to say, Gary, inside of a debate, I always took it as a debate as one-on-one. Like, that's fantastic for the mayor because you got the 2 different views and there's 1 seat. But when you have me, Mr. Simpson, and
it's nothing, Mr.
Well,
Melvin.
the thing is, you got open candidates that never occupied a seat, so it's for them benefit, their benefit to.
No, I disagree. You'll all be asked the same question. For instance, it could be, well, what's your position on, well, how do you feel about the tree program? And you can say, I feel this way about the tree program. Or it can be, how do you feel about this taking place in the city? It's going to come from the public. So everybody's going to answer the same question. It doesn't matter whether you're a candidate or sitting.
I guess what I'm trying to get to is, see, I have a problem with the word debate. I always look at the debate as one-on-one versus that meet the candidate.
I understand what you're saying.
They used to have it.
I understand. Maybe the debate's the wrong word for it then. Maybe it's a meet and greet with questions answered by the candidates. But debate was just an easy word to use.
Okay.
But it may end up being a debate because you may differ in your opinion from Mr. Simpson. And in a sense that if it's a difference of opinion, then you're going to express yourself and your reasons for the way you feel, and Mr. Simpson will do the same. Well, that kind of is a debate, although you're not doing it one-on-one. You're expressing your views, and basically a debate is expressing your views, isn't it, and letting the public decide.
Well, the Republicans managed to pull it off with 16 candidates up there, or 12, whatever it was at a time.
Yeah.
And they had
Each
Trump.
had their time.
They had Trump center stage. We
That's
won't
right.
have that problem.
That's right. And we don't have that many, so it should be easier. And Trump's not here, so that'd make it easier too.
I just, the thing is, I don't have a problem with that. To me, I'm the type of person, I will campaign myself, going door to door.
Okay, so are you in or out?
Well, right now, I would love to see what kind of questions is going to be asked or whatever.
You won't know the questions being asked until you get there.
But I have
The question is, do you think it's a good idea?
right now, personally, I don't see for me to have anything to gain from it, nor does Mr. Simpson or...
I don't have anything to gain, but the people that I represent and potentially will represent in the future have a lot to gain from being in one place to find out about all the available candidates. So it's not about what I have to gain, it's about what others have to gain, I think.
What I also want to say is, okay,
We don't need
who's
a
actually
debate
going
right
to be
now. We'll
there?
just let him
Now, you
express
said the
his
kids are going to be there?
No, it's going to be open to the public. The public, Washington Life Center, the gymnasium. So we can house probably up to 650 people, I think.
This is
I think it's going to be standing room only, quite frankly.
Yeah, this is easy. Either you're in or you're out. That's all. That's all we need here.
Right now, I'm sorry, I don't see nothing to gain from it.
So he's out.
He's out, okay.
All right,
that's
so that one less chair on the stage.
I don't have any problem with your debate, but at this point, I've got some issues that the date might be a conflict.
Okay, that's fine.
I have to let you know at a
Okay.
later point.
So we've got a quorums, and we're moving forward with this, and it's going to be great fun.
Yeah,
And
actually, to do something like this, you don't need our approval.
no, but it's always great to have the endorsement, because then it allows us to speak to all the candidates, and we've reached out to all of them, and everyone else has said yes, they're in the audience.
No,
So
it's an excellent idea.
it's a great idea, I think.
Right.
It's an example for other communities.
It's better than just a name on a ballot. People will get to
That's
hear
right.
what we
They're
think.
going to know who they're voting for
Right.
and where they stand on important issues to the community.
Yes, excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Avery has
Commissioner Avery.
I just want to thank Gary for bringing that up, because raising our election turnout can do nothing but help us as commissioners represent the city. We had somebody tell us recently, taxation without representation. Well, that's not understanding history very well, where that phrase came from. We are the elected representatives. So this is really good to have done, and not costing the city. That again is something that we should be very thankful for with our limited budget.
All right, good. Let's move on. Item 10D, we got board vacancies that I've been asked to announce to the public. We have On the Planning Commission, there are 3 seats up for renewal. On the Tax Increment Finance Authority, which is TIFA, we have 1 seat. Marine City Fire Authority, we have 1 seat. It says 2, but one of those seats is actually an appointment from this commission. So there's only the seat for the citizen at large that you can apply for. Library Board has 1 seat. There's also alternate seats available for the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Historical Commission has 1 seat. And the Dangerous Building Board, we're looking for a state registered architect or engineer. That's that. Moving on.
Interested individuals apply by,
Application, which you can get online.
And the date
By
would be,
June 30th or something.
Yeah, by June, effective June, well, this is June
we're
30th.
bringing these back for appointments on June 16th, so prior, probably the next few days, we should get applications.
So these are
So
appointments,
Monday, June 6th.
these are current appointments where their term is up?
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
We're just making the announcement.
okay.
Elaine, I had a quick question in regards to this, the previous planning commission meeting, you said you were looking to if we were allowed to have alternatives for that. You know, a couple points, we've had issues having a quorum and starting meetings late. Were you able to find out anything about
I checked
that?
the Planning and Zoning Enabling Act, I did not see a provision for alternates for Planning Commission.
Okay.
only for zoning. And that's 2 alternates for ZBA.
Thanks.
To recap, within the next week, please get your applications in, everyone that's interested, and we do need volunteers, so please get them in. And those forms are on your part of the website. You go to the clerk's portion of the website, you'll see the application. Unfortunately, I don't think you can fill it out online. You're going to have to print it, or if they come to the office, you'll hand them one.
It's quick.
Yeah.
Fill it out right there.
You can scan it and email it back.
Right. If you have a scanner, printer, and
You
all
know,
that
it's
stuff.
actually streamlined the form now, so people can check boxes for whatever potential board positions that they're interested in, if it's more than one, instead of filling out multiple applications.
Excellent. Moving on. Item 10E.
Pick it up the pace.
Tetra Tech, we're going to have to pick it up or you're going to lose me. Tetra Tech contract, 10E.
I got a letter here from Ken Kingsley regarding the contract for Tetra Tech. A brief bit of history is that initially had gone out for bids about 7 or 8 years ago, had a 5-year contract. A couple years ago, we renewed the 5-year contract. In that contract, there is a provision that the second year of the contract is the negotiable terms based upon what the actual costs are and circumstances. And then years 3, 4, and 5 of the contract is a CPI increased cost in services. To this date, they have actually stuck with the original contract costs from year 1 of this now 10-year contract. And they are asking for in essence, a CPI increase for this year.
I see we have someone from Tetra Tech here. Would you like to come to the podium? You sat through all this, you might as well say something.
Well, thank you. I'm Ken Kingsley, and basically have been in charge of all the operations and the operators for the water and wastewater plant from year 1 when he went to contract operations. Based on what the information in the letter, we've been able to hold the original price that we had for 7 years. Basically due to getting some more operators, eliminating overtime, just fine-tuning things, buying supplies, chemicals, because we do not only operate Marine City, but we operate other facilities. And so the cost that Marine City pays is the cost that the city of Richmond pays. And so we sort of have contractual things that are passed on for buying ferric chloride at the wastewater plant, or buying alum or sodium hypochlorite at the water plant. So basically, there's a lot that's happened within the whole operations of what the city's paying, where those costs have basically maintained and almost have had very little increase also. We're to the point after 7 years Basically, the guys that we have, Dave Islamic, who we basically was the original city employee that we picked up. Some of the guys, the certifications, the training, the renewal of their licenses with the state, those costs are going up. And basically, based on the just contractual language, basically it came down to where I was asking for a 2.3% increase in year 8 of 10.
Which translates to roughly about $12,000.
Yeah, about a little over $800 a month, $900 a month. And what in passing, when I did meet with Elaine, okay, a way that can be lessened a little bit, okay, is right now we have a contract operations price, and then we also manage the $50,000 account that's there for buying some items. For instance, when we send out and we get costs or invoices for lab services that we have out to we test for lead, mercury, and send those things out to the state or to the private labs. They basically get those things back. We're managing paying those invoices, okay? Because we're doing that internally to us, we're getting invoices. We got billing people involved. We're cutting checks, and it may be a half a dozen to maybe a dozen checks a month. It all depends, something like that. Basically, and the city has done some of that on their own. The city's been basically, when Mike has some local resources that have been cost effective, Mary Ellen and Mike's been issuing a purchase order. Mary Ellen's been paying the bill, and that's been coming out of that original $50,000. It'd be easy for us to have, if the city could pay those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bills a month versus us having to go through our accounting system for what we're doing, basically. I've got costs there that basically I wouldn't have anymore. So instead of, let's say, 2.3%, I go through and actually cost it out, but 2%, 1.9. So I mean, bottom line is there's some savings I could save, pass along, if the city would just take over, because we're issuing spreadsheets to Mary Ellen on a monthly basis, tracking the costs, making sure we're staying within the $50,000 overall budget for things. And there's a way for the city to save a little bit of money there. So basically, we can offer that up. I mean, when I went back, I really didn't know basically the overall financial situation of the city. And after talk, so I'm not that close to really what's happening internally. But meeting with Elaine and all that, we discussed that, and I said, that the opportunity is there, and I have no problem with that either. If we went along that line, so that's an offer that could be out there.
Commissioner Simpson?
I had a question, this is probably for Elaine. Was this increase calculated in our budget discussions for 2016-17, or would this be a shortage now?
It was not. There probably is a little bit of leeway in there, and then based upon when bills coming in, we may have to do an adjustment in the future.
Anyone else? Commissioner?
I just want to address, if you're able to save us money, would you refund us money back then, or no? You just
I wouldn't
reduce the increase.
I'd lower the increase.
You just lower the increase?
Yeah, basically, I'd go back and, because it's involving an accounting person, probably on the order of about 4 hours a month by the time we get other invoices in and various things, and she's preparing the ledger, and it goes to the different accounting. For us to pay a bill, okay, bill comes into the bill comes into the head of my operations people out of Richmond. They check it off, they send it to me. Okay, I pass it on to the accounting person. We have to have somebody cut a check or issue a voucher to cut a check. Then you got somebody else, another entity cutting a check. It's touching 4 to 5 people in the whole grand scheme of things to pay bills, just because of just the factor of how we pay bills.
Okay. So mainly just regarding your accounting,
right?
That's how we can save. But I just thought overall, at the end of the year, you found out that you did make a lot more money. You wouldn't refund it back to us, or would you keep it in the account? You know what I'm saying? For emergency, if something breaks or something, that you got money set aside or something?
I would assume we'd probably just see a reduced invoice.
Well, I mean, we're taking, I mean, bottom line is, your operations is a lump sum, okay? That's number one. So the bottom line is, when you have a hot summer, okay, and instead of operating the water plant 12 hours a day to make water, and we need to operate 16 hours a day, not your problem, okay? It's our problem. And so we have to adjust staff, and I got to get different people in, more people in, and to cover, to make sure we can make water 16 hours a day, because we're going to fill the water tower up, and if we're off, if we don't make water for more than, we're offline for more than 8 hours, you know, we're going to be halfway down in the tank the following morning. So I've got, I won't call it a cushion, but bottom line is it's there, okay? And for the most part, we've used it. And because we've used it, and in the past, we've given, you know, some, I won't call them big raises, but small raises to the staff. We've gone through 7 years, and we've been able, with other efficiencies and everything that we've done, we've been able to just hold the price, and stay where we're at. And we're at the point here now where I really have to ask for the increase. You know, and basically with the contract states, yeah, I have a way of reducing that request in percentage by having the city pick up paying this, you know, half a dozen to dozen checks, give or take, on a monthly basis. And so when those invoices come in for whatever we're ordering from the labs that are doing the lab testing, as such or whatever, those bills will just get passed on to the city to pay.
Is there any issue with that?
Any issues with that, Mike?
We got to work out, I mean, I don't think.
Well, who would actually do that? Would that be Mary Ellen or
It
Mike?
would be treated as
You
any
would?
other invoice coming in.
Okay.
Yeah. And that,
Sign off and everything.
yeah. And that gets us away from us tracking it too.
I mean, do you physically hold that $50,000 in account, or it's
No,
here?
it's in your account in the city.
So you're just paying bills out of that account, then you have to generate reports and other things to send back to us.
Yeah, that's what's happening right now. And that, if we can work that out, that'd be that way I could eliminate having an accounting person and everybody else involved in doing that type of.
Sounds like something we should have done a long time ago.
Well, it's just, I mean, in passing, nowhere came up. I'm looking for a way to minimize an increase.
Appreciate it.
You know, and I'm not looking out to,
Seems like it streamlines processes as well.
yeah.
Commissioner Avery.
I would just like to point out, first, we're all consumers, so we are very familiar with how prices have increased over the years. I'm very impressed that you've been able to go 8 years without an increase, and this is pretty small compared to what we see prices of things going up. So I think this shows good management.
I appreciate your comment, and like I said, one way we've been able to do that has been, I mean, we need people there, okay? And just because of the way we're structured, you know, if somebody has to be there, we rarely work anybody more than 8 hours a day, or 9. I mean, it's basically, where in the past, okay, if you don't have the people, you have to work the people overtime, okay? And just the way our staff is structured, we've got people that are part-time, that you know, so we can actually get those people to work those extra 4-hour shifts, to work the plant 12 hours or 16 hours or whatever it may be, and try to, you know, still it's our problem, okay, but try to minimize that thing. And otherwise, I'd say the cost increase would be, it's really there to pass along, but we've been able to save it by not having to do, by just being responsive and
Well,
responsible.
at this point, I'd like to make a suggestion, since you're asking us to approve a specific percentage, and the city manager has already said they'd be willing to take over the payments, I'd like to see this come back to us with the adjusted percentage before we, you know, vote on it. Would everyone agree?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just like any other expenditure, we want to know what our,
What we're actually
what we're actually
approving.
voting on.
I got no problem doing that.
So,
Okay.
can we just
Table?
table it?
Yeah, and I just wanted to, you know, reiterate, I think that, you know, you guys, in general terms, have been good stewards of our money and helping us, you know, operate that, and I think, you know, it appears, you know, a 2% or so increase over 7-8 years is pretty modest in the scheme of things, so I don't, you know, for what it's worth, I don't feel like it's an unreasonable, you know, so I don't think we need a vote, I think it shows up as unfinished business, right?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we'll put it on the next agenda, because, you know, not that it's a lot, you're asking for a giant amount, but you did indicate you'd be willing to adjust it, and I'd like to see what that adjustment is before we approve it.
Especially seeing that it wasn't budgeted for, I'd like to know
Right.
exactly how much we're over.
Right. Commissioner Henry.
One other thing, can we move him up on the agenda next time so he doesn't have to sit through all this either?
Well, hopefully the next agenda is going to be a little lighter.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
It's always nice.
No, there's no vote. He's just gonna, they'll just come back to us. Item 10F, which is the IT contract.
I have been speaking with our representative for IT services about everybody tightening their belts, and he actually came to me with a proposal to reduce his costs. As you'll know, he's also extending the term of his contract 1 more year. I know in the past you have mentioned that you would like to see this bid out. He has reduced the costs fairly considerably, 10%. Whether that gets us to a fair market value or not, I really can't say at this point without having bid it out. So I leave that decision up to you if you choose to either accept this reduced bid for an extended term, or if you'd still like to bid this out.
Was there any harm in bidding this out? I mean, will this offer go away if it's got a deadline or a timeline on it?
You never know.
I mean, I assume there's a lot of firms in this business.
There are, and I prefer to see it bid out
Yeah.
personally.
I'm not going to ask you to explain everything tonight, but if they're cutting 10%, are they cutting service? What are they cutting? Did you get details?
You know, this is.
If all of a
all
sudden
they-
10% comes off the top, which in this case is about $10,000,
Maybe he's found that we aren't as needy as some other clients that he's charging a current rate.
okay,
I'm sure.
we're not going to suffer service-wise or...
Maybe it's more than 10,000.
Otherwise, it would not change the terms of the contract.
Based on previous conversation and everything else, I think it would be to our advantage for you to bid this out.
Yeah, I think if he withdrew this offer, that's our answer right there. If he's not willing to endure that process, I think that would speak volumes. Not indicating that he's not, but if he withdrew that offer, that would speak
I agree,
volumes.
we need to look at everything. We got to
It's a
tighten the
responsible thing to
budget.
do.
So, we need to bid everything, really.
All right,
But it makes it more transparent for people too. If we can show them numbers, hey, we've looked at this process, or offer them a good reason why we did not bid that, then
Well,
that
they're
helps.
either offering us very good value or Commissioner Hendrick.
The only question I have is, have they ever documented all the information in this city?
There has been some documentation a number of years ago.
scope of work,
I suspect that it's probably not up to date. I could work with an outside firm to develop something of RFP, because I'm not a computer expert. I don't really know the systems and intricacies that we have, and to be able to have someone give us a reasonable bid, I don't know what to ask for. I could go with some other outside agency that would have no interest in bidding to help put together bid documents.
But you've got a fairly good idea of what services they've been providing you, right?
Well, I don't know the systems.
So that's another
All
good
the
reason to
servers,
bid it out, right
locations,
there.
the systems.
Yeah,
It's a learning curve for our
yeah.
new city manager.
You don't have anything exotic going on there. It's all Microsoft-based, I think. So, yeah, give you something to do.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to vote on this one either. I think the board says, let's see what other companies are pricing it out for.
Competitive bidding.
Moving on to item 10G, attorney RFP.
This kind of takes us back to the exact same issue, talking about are we getting good price for services, and haven't really found any record of when this was last bid out. I have put together an RFP for you to consider. As you know, the attorney is under your purview. This would be something that you would conduct the interviews and in essence be the one that hires the attorney. I can certainly do everything possible to help you with that and can help create the process. Typically what you see for something like this is go out for RFPs, get information, select a number of candidates to interview. You can have them come here before city commission and interview them.
I think it's a good idea.
Well, we did a good job with that last summer, didn't we?
Would that be in an open meeting, or would that be
Yes.
closed? Well, we didn't, okay. All right,
Yeah.
I was thinking like when we hired you.
I guess this one, we should probably have a motion and take a vote to move forward with the RFP. Commissioner Avery?
I'll make a motion that we proceed with the request for quote for legal services.
Support?
The motion support. Any further discussion?
Comment?
Comment?
Just, this is not a reflection on the current city attorney. It's not a reflection of their competency. This is strictly for cost.
And I certainly believe that they would be in an RFP as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a very important distinction, you know. It's just us being good stewards of the money and having a good process.
Well, we got to turn over every rock, so that's what we're doing. Commissioner Audit?
Just have a question. I can't find the exact line, but there was no limit on, once you hired them, they were hired. Wouldn't it be more sensible to have a contract, a
You do that
2-year?
after you figure out who you hired. You create a contract.
Well, as
then.
with, like with our city manager, that's specifically in our charter, that there's no limit. So that's probably similar, the wording's probably similar. Our charter,
Normally, something like that, any type of professional consultant, you have a contract with them, open-ended terms, until you decide to go out for it.
yeah, they're basically an at-will employee.
Got it.
And a proposal would be just that. If they wanted a 30, 90, 120-day notice, they would indicate that in the proposal and their conversations with us.
Agreed. Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Moving on to item 10H, which is ordinance number 2016-03, introduction.
This is something that Diane Lovett had brought before the commission for consideration, and the attorney had an opportunity to take a look at the language for pedestrian rights-of-way issue for pedestrians crossing at crosswalks in the streets. The attorney's opinion is that it is covered under state law. However, it's something that we could do an ordinance for clarity's sake and to expand upon what is in state law. Currently, for pedestrians and rights-of-way, it's actually governed through some prior case law that, in essence, pedestrians have some of the same rights as cars do that are in intersections. And what he crafted here is an ordinance that would give us a little bit more lenient, or I'm sorry, not leniency, power to be able to enforce the pedestrian laws.
Right, because right now it's more implied. It's not actually spelled out.
Right,
Right.
right. It's in case law.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Lovett?
this was proposed as part of the Safe Routes to School program, being a little more positive or taking a more proactive stance toward cars stopping for pedestrians, because they're not. We have, crosswalks that you take your life, you get halfway out there and you're standing, while cars go by. I think we need to put a little bit more emphasis there. It says here, this adoption would be give pedestrians an elevated level of protection, and that's what we're looking for with not just our students, but also, any of our citizens would have that. That is
I think
one of the
somebody should
reasons.
make a motion.
I would make a motion that we approve the
Well, that-
pedestrian right-of-way ordinance.
Yeah, it's a first reading.
At this point,
Oh,
this is
first
an
reading.
introduction,
Right, so, excuse
we'll be
me.
having a first reading at the
That's
next
all right,
meeting.
I'm always ready to make a motion.
So we need a motion to move forward with the first reading, or
To introduce.
to introduce?
This is introduction, so what we're looking for would be a first reading at the next meeting.
Yeah, we need a motion to approve?
Yes.
Well, then somebody make a motion to do that, please. Commissioner Henry?
I just have a question. I mean, you have this here So what happens if somebody violates it?
They ticket.
For what? How much?
There must
I
be
mean, if it-
pedestrian.
Right.
It's a ticket, it's a ticket. It's a violation, moving violation.
Just asking,
I believe that in the traffic and motor vehicles section of our ordinance, there's probably penalties that are referenced in another location in our ordinance.
Okay, just asking.
I can get some clarity from the attorney for that for the next meeting.
Did that motion have support?
Did not.
No, I make a motion to introduce ordinance.
I think we already had a motion, we're just looking
I
for
thought you
support.
said-
Support. Okay, we have motion and support.
I don't think we had the motion, did we?
Yeah, no, I didn't recall.
I asked another question. but-
Yeah, we started to do.
All right,
motion. We never
I
did a motion.
swore I heard a motion, so
No.
somebody make a motion. Please make a motion.
Trying to.
I make a motion to introduce ordinance number 2016-3 in regards to the pedestrians and crosswalks.
And I'd like to support that.
All right,
Commissioner
Simpson.
I think it's a good thing. Anything that we can do to clarify something for our PD to make it more enforceable or more, less gray, more towards the black and white area of things for residents, I think that's an important thing to do. And we're in a bit of a unique situation in town that one of our problem crosswalks is on M29. And, the city over the number of years has approached the state to allow us to do something like a light there or something like that. And we've had, not great response from them to help us deal with that. So this, in some way, shape, and form, in a little way, allows us to help that situation just a little bit. So I think those are all good reasons to do this.
Yeah, and it just clears up some, because a lot of those stop for pedestrians things reference a state law, which isn't actually,
It's case law, not state law.
yeah, case law, not state law. So at least if we had something like that, we could actually put our own ordinance on it and we'd have some teeth. Commissioner Avery?
This only covers marked crosswalks. And there's an awful lot of places, of course, that aren't marked.
Jaywalking is still jaywalking.
I don't want to say we
Hey,
have
if
to
you're
go mark
jaywalking,
everything.
it's open season, buddy, you just,
Better move fast.
just kidding, just
I
kidding.
know. I'll take it. I'm just trying to wonder, should we change the wording so it affects intersections? I don't know. The point is, though, that we don't have many, and I certainly don't want to go out and paint crosswalks across every street intersection. We do have some problem with kids on the road who find it amusing to challenge vehicles. They'll walk, generally a group.
They're gonna lose every time.
Well, I haven't been brave enough, but
Made a motion, do we approve that?
Well, there's this discussion period. He's suggesting that because it's only covering marked crosswalks, that leaves a lot of intersections where people actually have to cross. I mean, is that a crosswalk just because there's a light and there's a curb cut? I mean, doesn't that
No,
kind of make it a
wait a minute.
crosswalk?
It says, every pedestrian crossing pointed other than within a marked crosswalk or within an unmarked crosswalk.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's basically a
Within.
crosswalk if you're at an intersection with a curb cut,
I
a
would-
light.
But it includes
That's
unmarked
the state, yes.
right there
Right.
in hers.
Does that satisfy you?
I'm looking at this one right here.
Yeah. Yes, that looks good. I glanced at it before and thought that it was only dealing with marked, but, or within an unmarked crosswalk. Well, if we can buy the unmarked crosswalk, then as you try to cross Broadway or Parker, there's not markings in a lot of places, and now, I just wanted to make sure
that
that,
language a little bit, have it mention that, crossing at any point other than within a marked or unmarked.
Yeah.
That's what basically saying.
now, we're not trying to cover in the middle of blocks and the jaywalk situation, but,
Sometimes the less you say, the better.
It's covered there.
I think we're okay here.
Okay to move on?
I think so.
Okay.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yay. Moving on to item 10I, which is meeting cancellation for July 7th, 2016. I don't know what everybody feels about this. I mean, it's a few days away from the holiday, but
I have a couple
it doesn't cover
things
those
to
dogs.
consider for this.
No.
We actually are going to have the water and sewer rates that are going to need to come before you, and we'll have to have public hearings for that. And it would be beneficial to be able to have the July 7th meeting. I know in the past you have canceled the meeting around the 4th, but July 7th is pretty far from the 4th. I don't know if we would be able to get a quorum or not. That's usually the issue.
It's usually a bad week, yeah, because
I will be out of town, I know for sure. We have plane tickets to visit family in
it's
Utah.
usually forced
I will definitely
vacation
be out.
for us too, so.
I will not be here.
oh, sounds like that's an issue. So I guess we should vote to cancel that meeting.
I move to cancel our regular meeting scheduled for July 7th, 2016.
Support. We have motion and support. Any other discussion?
Yes. So the two issues that you just brought up, can they be rescheduled ahead, or?
I'm sure we can find a way to work around.
In other words, they
Is there a
don't
reason they
have to
can't
be
be-
on July 7th. They could be adjusted, right?
Is there a
It's just
reason
gonna
they
make
can't be
for
at our
a
next
longer meeting.
We'll find a way.
Okay.
Public
Cram them in. Let's go to 11 o'clock.
All right. Commissioner Abe.
yes. Can we check to see if we can make a quorum for the 7th?
We already had like 3 people saying that you're not gonna be here, so I think it's really iffy.
Okay.
What if one other person doesn't
Especially for a
show up?
public hearing.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Because that
Yeah,
allows
because then you got
publication.
expense and publication and everything else, so I don't think it's
And then
worth
you'll
the
have a lot of other
risk.
people off on vacation too that can't attend too, so.
Okay.
It's a bad week for a lot of people.
Commissioner Love. did you have something?
I just agree with City Manager Levin, because this meeting alone is 2.5 hours. Are we going to have a 5-hour meeting then with everything piling up?
Well, if that's what we need to do, though. I mean, that's the responsible thing to do.
She could call a special meeting.
The problem is,
That's an option.
yeah, right, so, anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's canceled. Moving on to item 10J, which is life rings.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh.
10J.
And Aaron fortunately is here now. Luckily, your guys' meetings do last many hours, so I was actually able to make it.
Oh, boy.
Erin Dage, 323 North William. I do a lot of fishing down on the boardwalk, and I've lost many sinkers down here, so I traveled down to Elginak. And on Elginak's boardwalk, they have life rings down there. Put the ring, and they're in a nice little case, and they're every so many feet all the way down their boardwalk. And I just think that is the neatest thing to have when we don't have that here. So I made a little post on my personal Facebook account saying my goal for the summer is to make this happen in Marine City. Within 24 hours, I have gotten 10 life rings, the whole thing donated. I've got pictures of that I left for you guys. I have the signs donated, the post donated. I have installation is also being donated, so again, it won't cost the city 1 penny. And I just think it would benefit our town to have those. You know, it being that it's not gonna cost you guys a penny, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. Because especially some of those, you see those little kids run up to the water after they go get their ice cream and stuff from the Sweet Tooth, and it's kind of scary how close some of those kids get. So, I'm just asking that you guys approve that we follow through with this.
Commissioner Simpson.
I think it's a great idea. I was following the Facebook post, and it was absolutely amazing how positive it was and how many people that don't always jump in and say things, that volunteer their labor time, materials, and I think that's a great thing. My only question is the liability from an insurance standpoint with the city. I'm remembering back to conversations of, when we were discussing lifeguard situation, that our city attorney at the time said that there was some concerns that if you have life-saving equipment, you have the maintenance of that, and there is an inherent liability of the fact that it's there. It increases our liability, and there's a lot more due diligence there. That was all part of that decision-making. I was wondering if you had any thoughts or information on that end of things.
I didn't get any information from our insurance agent directly. I did speak with, or I should say past messages back and forth between myself and the manager of Algonac, and inquired as to whether they did anything from an insurance perspective, and he said that they didn't really have any type of insurance review or anything regarding that. So unfortunately, I don't really have any good information regarding that.
I have a group I'm a part of. You're certified to do AED training and first aid training and CPR as part of like public assembly facilities like theaters, stadiums, those types of things. The training that I went through multiple times with them is that a lot of that falls into Good Samaritan laws, whereas public assembly facility might supply a defibrillator that just because they have it there, and if someone were to, heaven forbid, misuse that, that usage would fall under Good Samaritan laws, which would sort of protect the individual using that, because you're not offering professional, life service, like an EMT might or something like that. You're just providing a device for someone to have a fair shake at that. And that's what, that training had indicated, that was pretty well, substantiated with case law and those types of things. I would, of course, defer to any attorney that would have more information, but that's, from my experience, they would encourage that.
Certainly is a little bit different scenario in the lifeguard situation, because that's actually someone on staff, and it's
Well, our conversations was that someone had offered that we should leave up the existing lifeguard equipment. And that's what spurred that conversation, is that the city attorney at the time said you're going to want to take all that down, because if someone were to misuse it, or if it were to sit for a long time and went into disrepair, that would come with liability. So that's how I remember that conversation.
I still think that's a little different, and frankly, I think the little extra liability, if it's there, is worth.
I would agree.
And if there was issues, every so often, if we have to DPW keeps an eye and does checks or whatever on them. If there's an issue, I can guarantee, I can put out a post and say, okay, guess what? We need to replace this, and people will jump in.
I think it's a great idea. I just was curious what, the powers that be had to say. I still think it's a wonderful idea.
If I can get 10 of them in 24 hours, I'm sure we can replace them once in a while if we need to. And
I guess my question is, I noticed that, Algonac has a penalty or a fine, if you tamper or damage these, that's probably something we'd have to create an ordinance for?
I don't think that we need to. There are provisions in our ordinance for public property.
And it just fall under that?
Okay.
And wasn't there an offer for someone to do like the signage directly?
Yes, we had someone offer to help us with doing the signs. We had somebody donate somebody made a joke, oh, why would we want something that says Algonac? So we had somebody donate that's going to put Marine City on each of them for us. So, and just, I know Mr. Dig will have to come in for the spots and stuff, and if we can get Mike to look to see where down the sidewalk we can place them. If DPW, we don't want to have them have to dig it and place it, because that would cost, payroll money. That D.N. Kaufman Builders, they offered to come in and do the installation.
Commissioner Levitt?
Just want to thank you, excuse me, Aaron, for taking the initiative on this, and certainly a wonderful example to what happens when people want to do something positive for their community.
Well, I've seen many posts on Facebook where certain people say, I'm just one person. I was just one person with one simple post, and it happened. So my thing is, I hate when people say, well, I'm just one person, I can't do that. Yeah, you can.
Thank you.
That's right. It's great, and I think, if one day they get used or they're needed, you'd be a lifesaver. Commissioner Avery?
To follow up what Commissioner Levitt just said, it would be wise to make sure that placement of the posts were coordinated with the DPW to minimize snow removal and grass cutting. But it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thanks for the, it's a great thing that you're doing. I would suggest leave Algonac on there. Number one, they become liable. And number two, if you float down there, they'll pick you up.
There we go.
Leave it on there.
I was thinking Titanic, and then they fit in with the motif.
Or, yeah, with Titanic.
Then they get the fine. Commissioner Simpson.
I had a question, is the thought to put them on both rivers? Because obviously the liability is in both, you know, like on a street
Oh,
or
I agree,
something?
we can look at that right now.
Since there's so many offered.
I'm sure we can get even more donated too. Right now, we have enough money, it was at 10. I'd like to see one in each park,
Yeah,
at
that's-
least one, maybe one down towards the beach, you know.
Maybe perhaps one at each bridge. I know especially the Biff Bridge, there, I see a lot of kids since it's been done, like walking over things and climbing things they probably shouldn't be, but just a thought.
Right, oh yeah, I agree, we can definitely look into, whereas people are just mailing me checks, and I'm actually working right now because I was on the beach committee, so I am working with the rest of the members on the beach committee, and I am working with the Marine City Chambers of Commerce on this. So like when people are donating, they're just writing the checks and stuff to the chambers, so that way we get, you know, all the funds stay in one place, so there's no question of where's this money really gonna go, or what's it doing.
Somebody'd like to put a motion together?
I'll make a motion that we approve Aaron's offer with all the life rings and for the city's direction on getting them installed.
Support.
Motion and support. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Aaron.
Item 11, financial business. We have disbursements including payroll of $139,000, 847, what, you say it.
I make a motion to approve expenses including $139,847.46.
Very good, Jeff.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on disbursements? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett,
Yes.
Commissioner Melly,
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Kirkpatrick.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. City manager report.
At, I believe it was the TIFA meeting, Friends of City Hall had mentioned that they were planning or would like to replace some of the exterior lighting with LED at no cost to the city. I wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm not sure if that's something that raises to a level that you guys would like to approve or not. I had some representatives from SEMCOG and the county that I met with earlier this week regarding some of the parking, transportation, traffic flow issues in the downtown area. I did have high hopes for that because they are professional planners, and unfortunately, I really did not get any good ideas from them. They said that a lot of the things that we've done and considered were things that they would have looked at as well. Some of the restrictions regarding the traffic because of the bridges and the ferry and everything are, of course, limiting factors. One thing that they are going to help us with, though, is to create a map to help map out those areas that are available for public parking. They do seem to think that awareness probably is one of the primary factors, so we'll at least get that done and see what that does to help us with the situation. The beach volunteers were down at the beach this weekend, and more than likely they'll be there next weekend. We did get some funds deposited into the city account for beach attendance. However, we haven't gotten through the process yet to get all of the interviews and hire someone, so that's why at this point they're just volunteers. And certainly I'd like to thank those kids for helping out and helping bridge the gap. We did have some plans that have been submitted for the pavilion and restrooms from Shafiq. Those will be at the next planning commission meeting. Had a safe routes to school conference call today. Still working on the Chartier King Road crossing and refining that. Looks like we might have a solution. I plan to have the Act 4 police chief put in the paper and advertising probably by Monday next week. I have been starting to work on the POAM contracts for police union as well. I have been working on putting together an application to get a quote for our liability insurance. That is a rather complicated process, a large form that requires a lot of information and research. I should have that information to them to get a quote from MML at this point. Probably by Tuesday I should have that complete with them. I'm not sure when they'll get back to us with an estimate. I've been chasing down a lot of different complaints and concerns. It takes up a lot of time and effort. I do get to everything that everybody brings to my attention. Sometimes it does take a lot of time. I'm constantly juggling and rejuggling priorities, but just let everyone know I don't forget about you. We do have agendas and meeting business that we do need to get to that does have firm deadlines. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to do everything at once. Let's see. I did look into the matter with the street ends of someone that was here inquiring about that. Information from the attorney is that the sign that she had proposed isn't really something that we can do. We have those street ends particularly for water access. We could work on developing some other type of signage, possibly something water access only, or maybe even just no alcohol might curtail some of the problems with that. The house on William Street was demolished today. And then in our office, with all of the great things going on in downtown, we actually put together a little collection plate so that outside of our office, we can plant some flowers to help with the beautification of the city downtown. That's all.
Sure, love it. Would you like to start us off today?
Sure, I'll try to keep it short. Last Saturday, after church, I walked downtown along Water Street, and it was just like being in a bohemian community. Everybody was sitting outside. It was a beautiful day, and sitting on the benches, having ice cream, sitting over in the park. Just a really warm, welcoming, heart improving experience, and it was just a great place to be. I do have a concern. I mentioned it to City Manager Levin today, and they just wondered if anybody else had that concern, and that is the dump trucks coming out of the Michigan lot, not the other one, but the state of Michigan sand lot, gravel lot down on Parker. And they're going at extreme speeds, and there's just dust and sand all over, and I feel so sorry for those people who live in that area. And so I would like us to pursue, something with the state of Michigan to make some controls. The other lot does. They have a place where their tires on the trucks are wet, or they go through a wet area so that they're not carrying that dust out with them. And also, we need to look at the speeds. Those trucks can't stop, and they're going right down Chartier Road where there are children and certainly, other people. So I hope we can do something about that.
Mr. Hendrick?
I brought up to our city manager about downtown used to have no U-turn signs, and they got removed a long time ago and not put back in. I did check that we did have them at one time, but I see an awful lot of people trying to pull U-turns in there, which is creating a lot of problems. So I think we need to look at that. I wish people would just go around the block instead of trying to pull a U-turn with all the traffic, especially on the weekend. One other thing is, I brought this up to our former city manager, but that kind of fell off. So since this whole beach thing's been going on, last time I recommended that we look into getting one of those emergency phones like they had at St. Clair has one at their skate park. It's just a long tube, it says emergency. It's used for that for the kids at the skate park. I can't believe we can't check with them to see what was involved in getting that going, and that's something else that maybe we could use.
A lot of college campuses have those.
Yeah. And the last thing is down by the beach also, so the beach attendance will be just 3 days?
With the funding that we have,
Okay. So then the bathrooms will be locked the rest of the time?
unless we can find some other way
Okay.
to work it out.
So
If we
last
get
year-
some type of surveillance or cameras or something in, DPW could maybe try and unlock them.
No, they're gonna be open.
I know.
They're volunteers right now until school gets out and somebody's hired. And then there will be somebody there all summer,
Okay.
Monday, 7 days, 7 days.
7 days.
Okay.
But right now, school's still in and all the attendants are high school students.
The hiring process is not done.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's all based upon funding, as long as we get the funding, we'll staff as much as we can.
So my only concern is that I'm trusting that that's gonna happen. In the event it doesn't, the only thing I'm concerned is last year we had to bring in porta-johns just to make sure we had something
It's gonna
there.
happen.
Okay. That's all I have. Oh, wait, sorry, one more thing. Real quick, I know the tree issue, I don't have, there's no motive for me not wanting these trees other than to protect our environment. And that's all there is. But I have to agree with Commissioner Turner for once, that I kind of like the fact, yep, it's the first time. So, because I walk a lot downtown there, and with all the pedestrians and the carriages and all the stuff, I'm trying to get around those trees all the time. I'm just hoping we have less. But, I'm not against any tree, it was just that particular tree. That's it.
I would like to, again, thank anybody who is involved in helping us get a bigger turnout for voting, because people voting is what gives us direction for bringing this city forward. And that'll be enough for today.
Commissioner Simpson.
I'd like to extend my personal thanks to Edward Terhune and his family for the many years of service and dedication to the community. It's kind of an end of the era, as they say, but I appreciate all that they have done for the community long before I've been around. And it's been my pleasure to get to know him just a little bit since my time around. But today is the first day I've heard of Miss Kaufman's retirement, so she's been a wonderful asset to the library, and I just would wish her many years of happiness and health and fun retirement. Congratulations to the class of 2016. I know several of the high schools have commencement ceremonies this weekend, but to all those that have graduated either high school or at the college level, congratulations to you. I'll try to make this brief, but an interesting thing happened. I had a good friend from high school I haven't been in touch with in a long time, posted on my Facebook page that there's a number of groups that he's active with in Oakland County, and someone posted on their page, out of the blue, a neat thing. He just said that, hey, it's been 20 years, but I ended up in Marine City this weekend, and they just went for a day trip. And it was 2 paragraphs, very detailed, of how, his memory of Marine City wasn't much when he was there, but how wonderful it was. And he posted just so others could take that day trip. He was highly recommending anyone that in the Oakland County area would just make that a priority to get to this summer. And it was just kind of neat. He shared it on my page verbatim from the post in that public group. That group had over 10,000 members, but it was just kind of neat. Just once again, we oftentimes hear from people around here, but somebody completely unaffiliated that just happened to see that, but felt strongly enough about what we do in our community, and what we're doing is a step in the right direction, but not only felt strong enough about that, but wanted to share that with any number of other people. I felt like people were missing out and that they should get here, and I thought that was just a neat little thing to share. It shows that we might not agree on a lot of things, but we're certainly moving forward in the right direction, I think.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Are we jumping?
I'm picking rotation.
Aaron, is it? Thank you. That's a wonderful thing you're doing, especially the idea that, I believe this is the first time I've seen you at a meeting. The idea that you saw a need for something, and instead of going on Facebook and complaining and getting all these people riled up, you went on Facebook and said, look, let's take care of this problem. I need some volunteers, I need some people to help me do this, and boom, they came together. That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
point to.
Commissioner Miller.
I wanted to say ditto to that. That was excellent because to me, I have a heart, I would love to see lifeguards back at the beach, but that's something that's not going to happen. The other thing I did want to say in brief, Jim, I appreciate that, what you mentioned about the trees, because see, I have a hard time, I love trees, and the idea of having them all cut down again is just, that bothers me. That's why I want to clarify my vote, why I said nay. I got accustomed not having the trees downtown, and to me, the initial shock of the trees being gone, I'm over it now, and I could go along with it, and that's the only reason why I want to say, Jim, I'm glad you said that you kind of made a subtle way about saying it, and a way I wanted to agree with you very much, and thank you.
All right, I think I'll be real brief. I just thank all the volunteers. We're like so fortunate that we have people spending so much time in all these different groups doing wonderful things for the city. And Aaron and Gary Coes, and we got many other Friends of City Halls, all the groups, Alliance Clubs, everybody that does stuff for the city. We're just, I guess, blessed with a richness of volunteers, and it's great. It's making the city great. The idea that the hotel's going to raise people's taxes is not only wrong, but I think it was dishonest in the way it was presented. The hotel is not going to raise anybody's taxes. In fact, it will bring in additional revenues even with the abatements, because there's private condos involved. So that's just wrong, and that's not it.